can't speak English anymore, and
buttons.
I really should start before we blah, 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 blah. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop.
Hello.
I can't speak English today.
That's normal.
Oh, I mean, it's worse than normal, because it's normal I can't speak English. This I can't speak more English. Oh my god, it's broken for me. My brain is just... I'm just gonna type in this word here, and...
hey, we have a docket.
We have a docket.
We have things.
Stuff and things to talk about. Let's... I honestly, like... As much as I'd like to, like, you know, give a little spiel here, it's sort of like that entire thing of, like, it seems already my brain is just like... I overslept this morning by, like, 3 hours, so...
I didn't.
Yes, you had work.
I woke up at 4:30 in the morning.
That's around... I actually went to bed like 3:30, 4 o'clock. That's probably why I overslept. Honestly, it's later than normal.
I usually wake up sometime between 4:30 and 5 a.m. for my opening shift.
Well, I was actually doing work last night. I leveled up a bunch of the NPCs for...
Better than what I spend my night doing, which is playing Divinity Original Sin 2. Well, playing as in being dragged around by people who know the game.
Honestly, like, I could probably drag you around for, like, chapters 1 and part of chapter 2, but I've like, gotten only halfway through chapter 2, ever.
Yeah,
all my groups fall apart.
A human lady. Cell is a disgusting... Cell's an elf. Elves are disgusting and horrible in Divinity, apparently. They just eat people?
Yes.
That's awful.
Yeah.
And I'm playing a very tall lizard, because the lizard women are just way too massive.
Yeah, the elves just, like, eat things to gain their memories or something.
Elves are just awful.
Yeah, they are. Here, have this human head and devour it, like, for information.
We spent, like, a long time just giving Cell random body parts to eat that we would pick up.
Yeah, and then Cell could just consume them for knowledge. It's like, let me eat this leg and gain knowledge of this person.
Cell also took the one where you can talk to animals.
I mean, it's really a wonderful one to take. So you can just randomly talk to weird animals and stuff like that. There's that game has so much.
It's great. Like, it makes me excited for when Baldur's Gate 3 is not in early access. When I'll play it.
I just don't know how much of that silliness that they're going to have in there. Like it's the serious silliness, I'd call it. You know, like the talk with animals. You know, it's something like fucking gnomes get it. Gnomes get that.
Yeah, a lot of RPGs have that as well anyway. Even Wasteland has it.
Yeah. Like, so it's like, it would be logical that if you're playing a gnome in Baldur's Gate 3, you could just talk to animals, you know? It makes exactly sense, because they do that anyway in the game. So it's sort of like they're built in with Pet Pal, you know? It's like, let me talk to this cat. Hi, cat! Hello. What do you want from me?
Please leave me alone.
You're sort of annoying. Yeah. Unless you have some food for me, then you may serve me, mortal.
Yeah, it sounds like cats.
Richard, give me one for free. But, yeah, so, like, yeah, last night I finished up a bunch of characters, leveling up, so, like,
I should have finished prep for Star Wars, but I didn't.
I still have work to do.
I gotta plan things.
Yeah, I still have work to do too. I haven't finished leveling all the NPCs, but I got through a chunk of them. And I know, like, we want to have them kind of accessible kind of thing, you know, so...
Yeah.
It was interesting to see, like, where their builds were going, and, like, honestly, none of them are optimal. Some of them
they don't give you very optimal people in that adventure path. Like, I was reading some of the NPCs, they're kind of shit.
Yeah, like, so even leveling them up, they tend to be very unoptimal. Like, I had to, like, figure out an optimization, like, what is the name of your bard?
Yeah, he's, like, kind of bad. He's kind of bad.
He's just buff.
Like,
that's what the direction I had to take with him, is just giving you buffs, because he's like, not a combat at all.
Hog is okay. But that's mostly because, you know, ranger rogue nonsense or whatever.
He does strength and can do sneak attack. I mean, cleric, just you're choosing your spells, honestly.
Yeah.
So that, and then
Yeah, Concubar's the bard.
yeah, Concubar. And then
Concubar.
Rosie is okay, but Halfling Fighter is not necessarily the easiest to like,
No,
especially
because your weapons are a damage die lower.
And she's strength build when that's a disadvantage on,
Yep.
you have to go Dex Fighter. She wasn't built for being a Dex Fighter.
No, they built the NPCs badly.
They do that with a lot of just random NPCs. Yeah, like Piranha Strike kind of things.
Yeah, they built. That's the problem with APs is if they give you. And this was for 5e. This is also side tangent. I apologize.
That's fine.
NPCs in adventure paths and adventure modules, they're usually built badly. For I don't know whatever reason. They usually just aren't built very well.
I know why. They're built as people.
Yeah.
It's the problem with players. We no matter what we do, even if we do stuff for like character, we're still optimized.
It's because you're kind of forced to be optimized as a PC.
Yeah, more interesting story reasons.
Yeah, it's because like a PC, you're kind of forced to be optimal if you want to survive a long campaign. Unfortunately, especially in Pathfinder.
Yeah. Pathfinder certainly like screams that, unfortunately.
It's a little better in 2e, but still,
I mean, the thing is, you don't need to be optimal in Pathfinder.
5e, you can be unoptimal. It's mostly on my end to not kill all of you.
Even Pathfinder, you can get away with non-optimal. It's just that you need to be in... It becomes circumstantial. The adventure you're playing in. And if it's pre-made adventure, you're probably going to be one of more optimal than if you're just one that someone's making. Because they can adjust a lot easier. And also the team you're in. Like, honestly, if you're just a decent team, like, you could be if you're an unoptimal cleric, and you're the cleric in a team, you're doing your job still.
You're still a cleric.
You're still the cleric. You're still healing and maybe throwing out some buffs. But even being unoptimal, you're still, like, if you fit in with the rest of the team, and the rest of the team has all the role, like, the basic kind of roles, which, you have, like, your front line, back line, / striker, support.
Yeah, it's a classic cleric, wizard, rogue fighter.
I mean, like, I usually boil those down even more, but, like, you think of what they fill. Like, the clerics, the fighter's the front line, the rogue is, like, the back line, or, like, backline / skill. The wizard is the damage magic or long range support, and the cleric is the healing / support. If you have a team that fills those kind of roles, you can be unoptimal because you fill in for those gaps for everybody a lot of times. And I think the thing is that's when I think that's like the other thing with like Carrion Crown. When I threw everybody together, everybody just made what they wanted, so we didn't like fill any of those roles.
I made the only role-filled character. That was it. Yeah. I made the skill character.
Yeah. So like we could fill like and again like those roles can be split apart. You could have like a divine skill person. That's kind of like an Inquisitor because they have a lot of like skills and stuff.
That first session of Carrion Crown, I saw everyone's turn was just like, oh no.
Yeah. It was just unfortunate that like there was a lot of gaps in the group also, which made it very hard. So it's like all these things combined against you in the first place. No, granted, again, Carrion Crown, not a great adventure. The first one, pretty decent. Harrowstone, I think, is probably one of the better ones. But again, it doesn't really connect in with the other as we talked about.
I like using Harrowstone as just a generic start for an adventure.
Yeah, it's fine with that.
It just works pretty well.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. There's the Striker DPS can be a lot of different roles. Yeah. And just you kind of need some kind of DPS melee, especially at low levels. Or you just need a DPS character at low levels, whatever build it is. It's just...
It's how it be.
And so, yeah. I forget even how we got in this conversation now.
I don't know.
Well, we did.
Side tangents the show.
I mean, really usually normally is.
Anyways, we have to talk about Magic the Gathering.
We do have to talk about Magic the Gathering. That is the start of our entire endeavor here, because there's
some stuff happened, and things got announced, and
Well,
some stuff came out.
is docket popping up?
There
There it
it
goes.
is.
It took a second there. I want us to talk about the one thing that, like, I don't want to dive too much into Streets of New Capenna because, like, they're announcing a lot of things. The only thing I wanted to talk about today was the mechanics that they're introducing.
Yes.
Which I think mechanics scream these things very well. There's more stuff in New Capenna that's going on, but we might talk about, like, I usually like talking about, like, the card image gallery, like, when the full set's kind of, like, spoiled, because that, then you get, like, stuff. And then the other topic, if you haven't noticed, is they announced a bunch of more secret layers, and I kind of have to say, they all feel bad.
I did see that they announced secret layers.
I just want to kind of say that for the start of it. We'll talk about it, but, like, it's sort of like, okay, there might be cards that scream out in there, but also, like, and there's a bunch of ones that are showing off artists, which is really nice. But the problem is, none of them feel great. Like, the stupid left one is the only one that stands out, and it's kind of dumb. It hurts my brain a little bit when I'm looking at it for a while. But I could understand the novelty of that entire shit, and not your money.
It'd be that way. Secret layers are usually bad.
Yeah.
Something else came out for Magic the Gathering too. They released another soundtrack.
Really?
Yeah, New Capenna has a soundtrack.
God.
It's like they did like a bunch of songs. I assume they're for the families. I don't know how many families play the set. They're all like villain songs for the families, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Neat. So we have 5 new mechanics, one for each of these families, and one returning mechanic that they've announced. The black, blue, white has Connive?
Yeah, Connive.
Yeah. Oh, Connive. Oh, God. Yeah, see, like, some... English. You see a word...
I understand it, because, like, it's a weird-looking word.
So, if you're instructed to connive, you first draw a card, then you discard a card. If you discard a non-land card, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you've connived.
I like that ability. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's you get to... It's not Scry. It's the red version of that where you draw and discard a card. But it's in, I guess it's in blue, white, black, and then the extra added bonus if you discard a non-land card, you get a +1/+1 counter. So, like, that can be helpful, and you could discard the land you don't need also if, like, it's late game and you're conniving, and then keep a card you do need, So there's a lot of good reasons to do it, honestly.
And there's Casualty, which is when you cast a spell, you can sacrifice a little creature, then you copy the spell. I like that one That's pretty cool. I really like it.
Now, granted, they do say, I think the power of the creature you need to sacrifice for it depends on the...
Yes, it depends on the number.
Yeah. So I'm assuming, like, there's going to be some high casualty things.
Yes, casualty 1, you could sacrifice a creature of a power of 1.
And it has to be one creature, though. So that's the other thing that they do specify, so you can't do multiple creatures. That's the trick to it. That is an interesting ability. I do like copying spells for the blue, black, red. That definitely has some bonuses in all those colors.
Yep. Very cool.
Black, red, green has Blitz, which if you cast a spell for its Blitz cost, it gains haste, and when this creature dies, draw a card, sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step.
Also pretty good.
It's like, what is it, Lightning Elemental from, like, Legends or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Ball Lightning, where it's like, it's a 6/1 trample haste that it dies at the end of the turn no matter what, but, like, this one you also get a card. Which, I mean, like, that makes it just a little better. It's kind of neat. It's good for that sudden attacks. I don't like playing with that stuff, but I can see decks that would function with that kind of thing. Red, green, white has Alliance, which whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, You double the creatures that has alliance's power until end of turn.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's pretty simple.
Pretty simple mechanic.
No, not a bad one. And the green, white, blue has shield counters. If you belt down or destroyed, remove a shield counter from a set. Okay, so it's basically like temporary indestructible.
Yeah.
In counter form. Again, that's not a bad one.
It's like fine. And then there's Hideaway as well.
Hideaway is an odd one to bring back, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, feels a little weird. I don't think I played with Hideaway. I don't remember where it's.
It was lands.
From.
The Hideaway lands came from.
I don't know if I played with those.
I only played with them because one of the commander sets, when I was purchasing a lot of the commander sets, had one of the cards because it was originally from Lorwyn, and I didn't really play with a lot of Lorwyn stuff, so I wasn't collecting or playing during Lorwyn. I have to say, that was during my big 5 to 10 year break in Magic.
Yeah.
Where I got back into it during Scars. And I've still been kind of into it since then. I haven't really taken a full step back. But yeah, it's one of those abilities that's weird because it's sort of like you kind of exile one, and then there's a triggering ability that allows you to do stuff with that one. The one I remember is the Greenland, where you hide away a creature, and then once you trigger it, the creature just comes out. Like when you have a certain amount of power or something, you're like, it also has that.
I don't know if I would play around with that too much personally. I don't know if that's my kind of playstyle. My kind of playstyle is more of would fit more in these abilities specifically would fit something more like Blitz and Casualty.
Yeah.
Because I tend to have lots of dumb little shits, and I like playing very aggressively.
I've aggressive decks too, so I can understand that. It's all interesting abilities. I feel like if I would know more about these families, they might fit them. I assume that they're kind of going for a.
I know I know the one that gets Blitz is kind of like that. They're like the classic street thugs. They punch people hard and that kind of shit. They're like the construction working kind of gang. They're real strong and buff. That's the only one I really know about. And one's a vampire gang, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. They say the Obscura is about manipulation and distraction, so that's why they connive. The Maestros are, about killing.
Yeah, the Maestros are the vampires, I think.
Yeah, then they're all about killing and fine art of killing, they say. So Casualty kind of makes sense. Blitz is the street fighters, as we're talking about. The Riveteers are. The Cabretti are.
I think they're the party.
They're about stylish, hedonistic. They're all about making connections. Yeah. And the brokers are, all about
deals
and being untouchable while making them. Yeah. So it makes sense. And honestly, Hideaway isn't a bad mechanic. It's just a weird mechanic, and one
fits the idea of this set a lot, but it's just a weird mechanic.
And it's one that's I didn't think it was going to ever come back kind of thing, They found a place that feels like it sort of works for it, but it's then also it's kind of weird.
I will say I do really like, because for this Disciple Duelist, they have that Art Deco.
Yeah.
That part, I really do like that style.
They're
very pretty cards.
I think the alternate images have a lot of those Art Deco style, for a bunch of their stuff that they're going to be going for. With the variant images, Art Deco is one of those main ones that I think they're doing for a bunch of them.
Yeah, because it's the 1920s
style of art.
Plain.
Yeah.
It's Demon Mafia.
It's Demon Mafia. It's 1920s. Let's talk about those secret layers, because
you have to.
They have these Let me just link. I'll link these two things. I should have linked the mechanic thing. I think I forgot to here. Let me just threw this out here. There's the link. Those are the mechanics. And here's the secret layer, super drop.
Yeah. If you don't want the other person to play, you just play blue because they'll just get mad and quit the game.
This is a unfortunate. Well, it's possible. Depends on the blue deck sometimes, but there are certainly many blue decks that will do that.
If you play a counterspell deck, everyone's gonna hate you. I have a counterspell deck, and I love using it.
I don't know the style for this the Streets of New Capenna showcase ones, because they're just like they're not cards from it. They're like in a style I think is kind of supposed to be New Capenna.
The style is cool.
I just don't know.
Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink, and Proliferate. That's a lot of things for a card.
Well, that is something that was introduced during the Commander sets, when they were doing the 4-color Commander sets, and it is indeed another...
It's a lot for a card.
It gave me the idea for the angel that's in Children of Wrath, because this is a Phyrexian angel.
I remember this Commander also. Yeah,
Atraxia is unpleasant.
I remember her.
I like her though, and I have her in at least in one deck. Did I put her in my artifact deck because of the Proliferate? I put her in a deck because of the Proliferate, because that just...
Proliferate, I mean, Proliferate's fun.
Yeah, just more stuff. And then there's Breya, which I know about Breya. They gave her a hat.
She does have, like, a fedora.
Yeah, it's like a weird, like, because she's converted her body into that weird, like, that was Alara and, like, the one group of the weird artificers that convert their bodies. That, what's his face, whose name Tezzeret comes from.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why she's got a weird fedora then. Which one's Idris? I have to look.
I don't know who he is.
I might know that guy.
Who are you, sir?
Idris Maelstrom Wielder.
Oh, it's this guy.
He is from
Ogre Wizard.
Ogre Wizard. He is a commander card.
What set are you from, sir?
He's from one of the commander precons.
I don't play a lot of... Well, that's why I play Commander. I don't buy a lot of Commander decks.
He's from Alara also. He's a Grixian ogre.
Neat.
But I don't know how that fits, but apparently they chose him.
I mean, like... I have a thing against cards that are more than 3 color. Personally, I don't like them. So I would never use these. Also, they're $50 for 3 cards.
Well, they're in this gilded foil, which is one of those things. The unfortunate thing is, and this is something I'm going to majorly say, they never show off what this means. They really need like a little video where they show off what the gilded foil looks like.
Yeah,
they never show it.
I don't know what it looks like in person. I just know what the weird scan of it looks like.
Yeah, it might not show off well in the scan. You know, you need like video evidence of like what it looks like. I don't know. The cards, because again, like, I think these are like probably one print kind of things. They're probably expensive. They're probably decent. I just think
interesting. They come with a Magic Arena Redemption, but no other fucking product that Magic the Gathering Mechs does. I hate that.
Yep.
Even Pokemon puts a little code for card packs in their card packs for the online TCG.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons that I've unfortunately scream, like, nowadays I say, like, you know, I'm not a huge fan, especially with the way that the community sort of does card collections of Pokemon cards. I've seen how it kind of works. Like, their prices are so varied, and like the game itself,
I don't know how to play Pokemon. I genuinely do not know how to play the card game.
I could have played when it first came out because I did collect like the first couple of sets for a while, but the problem is I know the game has altered incredibly. It's sort of like I've talked to a friend like a year or two ago who back in high school played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's been like...
Oh god.
It's been like 2 decades.
I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Is different.
I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! A long time ago. I don't know what anything in that game means anymore.
Yeah, the game is so different over this. Like, that's the one thing I have to say about Magic. The game is pretty much the same as it was.
Stayed mostly the same.
Yeah.
But Yu-Gi-Oh is
way out there.
I don't understand it, and I think it's weird.
Mm-hmm. They've taken weird directions, whatever. Pokemon, a little bit the same way. The game is basically the same, but they've taken a lot of, like, weird power spike directions. Sorry, I'm eating.
Tasty. Mm-hmm. Tasty food.
And chewy. This is my problem. I didn't think it was going to be this chewy. My bite. You don't notice it until you're actually, like, needing to speak about something.
Yeah. What are these lands?
Oh.
These are so ugly.
Matt Jukes lands.
They're hideous. I'm assuming this man is an artist.
Mm-hmm. He's known for his abstract landscapes.
He's a British police officer. What? No, that doesn't seem right.
A contemporary artist known for his abstract landscapes.
Oh, this guy. I've seen this guy before.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
They look nice on a wall. Maybe.
They're too abstract.
It's not my kind of art.
No, not at all. Granted, they're more than basic lands, which is already why I'm putting them at, like, a mid-level. It's like, these are okay okay lands to have. They've had a lot of reprints. They're probably not very expensive. They haven't been repeated in a while. But it's just like,
I don't think I just find them, like, they're boring. I'll just say it. They look boring. They don't look like that good. Look, I know art is, like, in the eye of the individual and person doing it. It's not my thing.
Then they have a special art series by there's like the one out of these that I, like, kind of say that's Magali Vingueli. Apparently, it's a person that does, like, art on magic cards, and so they're, like, letting them do, like, some more nice art and specialized stuff, you know, and doing their thing. And that forest looks really neat.
Yeah, the forest. I mean, these cards,
they give you one still. Anytime they give a basic land and they give you one, it's sort of like they're giving 3 cards and a forest. It's...
Oh boy, Elvish Mystic.
Yeah, it's Elvish Mystic, Death Shadow, and then a Mother of Runes. None of them are great cards, is the other problem about it. So it's like cool art, but it's like they're so bad cards. So it's like... that's the thing that, like, nowadays I feel like you need in these secret layers. You need value and cool art.
Yeah, I don't see value in any of these 4 cards. Maybe, I mean, the land looks cool,
but they're only giving you one. You want, like,
it's one forest.
Yeah.
The Elvish Mystic is like, who cares?
And then you got another person that's an artist one where they're giving. Like, Concordant Crossroads, I think, is an expensive card because it's from Legends. I own that.
It's old.
See, the thing is, that's why I recognize that one, because it's one of the few rare Legend cards I own. I didn't collect a lot of Legends back in those days, just because, like, I got Unlimited, which a lot of it I inherited from my brother. Same with Arabian Nights and Antiquities. The first set I personally started collecting was the 5th expansion, Fallen Empires, which is a terrible set. But that was the one I started personally doing. Like, it was after Legends and Dark, so I don't have a lot of Legends of Dark. That's one I have. Ghost Quarter is newer. It's okay. It's basically a fancy Evolving Wilds, and no matter... These aren't good except for Concordant Crossroads, and Concordant Crossroads... Yeah.
It's like $50, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, like...
So, I mean, if you really want it...
A green enchantment for 1 mana that gives all your creatures haste is pretty good, but it's also like but it gives all creatures haste, so it gives all your opponent's creatures haste, too.
Yeah. And, like...
It's never been that good of a card.
It's not... It's even less useful now, because in Kamigawa, there's a card that takes away haste from all creatures.
Yeah.
So it's even less useful now.
It's the problem that, like, yes, the card has had its place in the world, but, like, nowadays, I feel like there are very few decks that would ever run Concordant Crossroads. I'm going to say, like, there's very few builds. So it's sort of like, and you probably have it, honestly. Wayne Reynolds, I swear I've seen this guy do art for like, because they have him do dwarfs.
Well, a lot of dwarfs here.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good dwarfs. Give him that.
Yeah. He asked. Well, the thing is, he asked who wanted to do dwarfs. So like they just like, here's 4 dwarfs, make cards out of them, and I'm like, honestly, I'm gonna say he wanted to draw dwarfs.
No, he did art for D&D.
Oh, because he's done dwarfs for D&D.
He did some of the cover art for the original, like 90s and early 2000s D&D.
That's where the style is like familiar for me.
Oh, he did the cover art for the Eberron books.
Okay, cool.
And he's done stuff for Hearthstone. Okay.
Neat. I mean, like, this is one of the one. This is like the one that I think out of all of these, other than I hate but also understand the left hand one because it's on this list here.
It's and I mean, it's funny.
That's why I actually would put it pretty like high up on. That's pretty good. There's another one that I think is like pretty good.
I was wondering why these dwarfs are very Pathfinder. He's the dude who did a lot of the Pathfinder First Edition art.
Oh, so like the dwarven fighter that you can play. That's the style I was thinking of.
He did a lot of that Pathfinder stuff.
Oh, that's cool too. And then there's just the left-hand cards. Oh wait, no. There's just some totally normal guys art.
That's hideous.
It's another artist that apparently Roman Kolnick.
It's not my thing personally.
I'm sure, like, people.
For
like
someone's into it. I'm not.
It's just like
it's very harsh on the eyes. With its coloring, and that is, I'm not a fan of that in art personally.
It's a weird art. I think it's the thing that like. This is the point in time where I do feel like. Consider this. We have 7 bundles they've talked about. 2 of them have a theme. One of those themes is the new set.
No.
One of those themes is left-handed. And the other 5 are artists. They're like out of ideas and they're still doing a lot of these. Yeah. A lot of them.
I mean, I'm still waiting on that Yu-Gi-Oh! Secret Lair.
This is like 7 for this month,
Yeah, give me a Pokemon Secret Lair. I'd buy that.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's technically not 7 because you have to consider that the foils are completely different ones too. So it's really 13. They just announced.
I hate it. I continue to not like Secret Lairs at all.
The longer it goes, the less it goes down on my opinion layer. It was always kind of like a mid-level. Because, again, some of them have been pretty good products. Like, we were talking about the left-handed one, as, like, stupid as that is.
Funny joke. They're good. They're also
good cards. Yeah. See, that's the thing. It's like, when it's good reprints, even if it's, like, weird shit like that.
Like, the cheapest card, or, like, this left-hand card, one of these cards costs, like, $30. That's less than this just costs.
Yeah. It's just
so that's a good deal.
The thing is, like, I feel like Secret Lair should have been like a combination of we can give people promos and reprints that you can't put into a set. Because again, like, even if it's not like these are like a temporary, short-lived things, it's still getting stuff into the market to drop prices, which there is such problems with the freaking prices in Magic's secondary market, which they continually pretend doesn't exist.
They really could have used these to counteract that, and they decided not to.
They, like, sometimes it feels like they are, most of the times it feels like they aren't, And there's just some just really, really bad bundles sometimes, too. It's just... And... These are just, they don't feel great. This entire grouping of them.
No, these feel like some of them among the worst ones.
It's like they're ranging from ugh to fine.
Like if the worst one is Fortnite, which it honestly is, this is above that. Like slightly.
Hey, they beat Fortnite. Good for them. want to talk about Paizo. They've partnered with someone else.
What did they partner with?
Foundry Virtual Tabletop.
Oh, nice. Foundry's cool.
Yeah. So it's another of the virtual tabletop things, sort of like Roll20 is. Granted, like, I will say, I don't know if I can go to bat for Roll20. It's the one I know. So it's sort of like...
Roll20 is, like, fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the fine basic one, you know?
I feel like that's
Foundry
what people say.
is a little bit better on a lot of things.
But it's also, I've heard that it's more complex of the GM.
It's harder to learn.
Yeah.
Even on the player side, it can be a bit of a pain because everything on the sheet is automated, so you have to make sure you set the equations correct.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that I've been, like, hesitant to switch from Roll20 to anything else, because Roll20 is that kind of, like, standard medium. It's fine, it's not great, but it's not terrible.
Like, Roll20 is good because the bare minimum of what needs to be automated is automated.
Yeah.
And the rest is manual, which I prefer because things change in weird ways throughout the course of a campaign. And sometimes it's weird to automate it all the way.
Yep. So, like, I'm not against them doing bigger partnerships with, like, virtual tabletop things to have better releases and more products out on them that are better done. That's not a problem. You know, I'm actually, like... I'm fairly certain Paizo's also done this with Roll20, haven't they, in the past or something?
Yeah, they've partnered with Roll20. They have the whole thing where if you buy a Paizo thing or a Pathfinder thing on Roll20, you can redeem it on their website and get a PDF.
But that's the thing is that, again, this just screams so much better than Wizards, again, because Paizo...
Wizards just doesn't understand the internet.
I feel that's really accurate.
Paizo is like that millennial who's like, you know, getting up there in age.
Yeah, he's they're the aging millennial that like still thinks they're cool and does some stuff.
Like, they didn't grow up with the internet, but they've learned to understand it. Wizards of the Coast is the boomer that refuses to learn.
Yeah. It's sort of like, I don't know. It's that weird thing that, like, I definitely understand, like, the internet has changed a lot in the last 30 years. Like, you know,
God, yeah.
I can point out, you know, an age in my life, you know, that what the internet was. Like, I can talk about during my, like, you know, my years in the 90s what the internet was like. I can talk about my years in the 2000s with the internet, like in the 2010s. Even now, the internet is completely different than it was in the 2010s. Gotta be honest, it is altered so much.
Very much.
You know, and like, come on, Wizards, just fucking get with the times.
Just do PDFs, please.
Do PDFs. Like,
do PDFs. Partner with these virtual tabletops. Do anything, man.
Yeah, like, and don't have, like, D&D Beyond do PDFs, because you can't get it outside of D&D Beyond, and that's just bad. That's like...
Well, you technically don't own it if it's on D&D Beyond. You're just paying for the license to use it, which I have problems with in a lot of ways.
It's just bad. Just bad. But, you know, looking at what they're showing for the screens here for how they're displaying stuff on the Foundry virtual tabletop, it looks really cool. They're doing a really good job of having, like...
It's pretty cool, but...
It's got good high quality.
It takes a lot to... You will have to sit down and learn it. Unlike Roll20, where you can kind of learn it in 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's one of those things is like, if you want... It's a bigger experience for you and your players...
Yeah.
If you're up for learning it.
It also is a one-time purchase, so it's not a subscription service like Roll20.
Which I have to remember to create a couple of games or like transfer some characters into some games so I can access them under my control, just in case. Because I paid for at least a month of that, and I was going to transfer all my characters to stuff that you know, I could access then. Just so it would be easier in case other GMs shut things down, kind of thing.
Or the game corrupts and everything gets fucked.
Hey, I still had a badger.
You did still have a badger.
I did save that dude before that happened.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in that game, but every character sheet was broken.
Probably some update somewhere that, like, you know, like a
Even
couple.
like another section. Cole's character sheet is broken, by the way.
Oh.
It keeps adding burning hands into my spell list for some reason.
I'll give you a new character sheet.
Every time I open up my character sheet, I just have burning hands. A spell I've never taken.
I'll check it and see what's going on there. Maybe if we make a copy or make a new sheet you can write on. We'll take a look at it.
Fine, I don't cast any of my spells anyways.
You don't have a well, yeah, no, nothing.
I have all combat spells and sending.
Yeah,
your list doesn't get shit.
Yeah, and there's not really many opportunities. Oh, here's the link to the virtual tabletop.
Yeah, Foundry's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
I like messing around with it. I did get mad at the character sheet for a small period of time because I am old and had to learn. I don't like change.
Yeah. So certainly, having high quality Pathfinder experiences is great. It's just like it's the difference between if you want to like have the basic simplicity of Roll20 or something more advanced that you have to learn a lot more for.
One of the main benefits to Foundry is one-time purchase. So when you do, you just have like a whole ass compendium full of stuff. Unlike Roll20, where you have to buy the individual books, I think you just buy the Pathfinder bundle, which isn't very expensive.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even think you need to buy it technically. I don't remember, but it was really cool. It also has a bunch of third-party stuff on there.
Honestly, one day that maybe I have the extra $50, maybe I'll drop it on Foundry.
It's like $50, I think.
Yeah, it's $50.
So like an entire group could chip in it as well.
Yeah.
Only the GM needs to own it.
Yeah. But, it might be something to talk about in the future or something. Doing a Foundry thing or trying and learning it out. Just as something different.
I can teach people the character sheets because I have so much experience. Because my character sheet broke 3 times when I was making it. Because we were using a custom system.
Part of me would be like, that would be really cool. But I also am like, it's the old man in me that, like,
learning is hard and change is bad.
There's at least certain things like it's also like there's so much in Roll20 that it's like it's just so much for me to learn because like it's just outside my language that I normally use a lot of times, like all like the macros and stuff like that. I'm just like I
learned. I continue to learn things about Roll20. Like there's a feature where if you press a certain combination of keys on your keyboard, it'll like you can plot out a move path for your token and it'll follow it instead of dragging and dropping. I don't know why you'd ever use it, but it's there.
Jesus, man. Roll20. It's weird sometimes. Let's talk about some other RPG related stuff that's not things. Let's talk about an adventure Modiphius has here. It's for Coriolis, which I have to remember which Coriolis is. Sorry.
Familiar.
Yes, we've talked about it. I know we've talked about Coriolis. But the problem is, I forget lots of things here. And it's alphabetical in their searching here. And that sucks. There's the Conan stuff as I'm searching around for this. But it's an adventure that's being published for this thing.
It's one of their weird sci-fi ones.
I figured it was a weird sci-fi one. I just couldn't remember which weird sci-fi one it is. They have a bunch of these.
This one is like the more spaceship exploring one, I think.
There, Coriolis, the Third Horizon. Let's see.
Yeah, I think that's the more spaceship. This is the more explory one, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is like, it's build and crew your own spaceship, explore the many star systems of the Third Horizon. So you're exploring a territory. And there's an adventure in it. it's the second part of the Mercy of Icons, and except like a Emissary Lost is the first one they're doing. So they're doing actually a big campaign through multiple books.
I always do like to see that.
So that's really cool too. It's got background information, an area, mission generation tables, 4 landscapes. Yeah.
This is something I do hope the Fallout one gets is pre-made, like an adventure of some kind.
I really do hope that, because then it would be like, it would give them.
They have a one shot in the core rulebook, but it's not super good. It's there to kind of teach you how the combat works mostly.
Yeah, I mean that's fine for like a beginner's one shot. Honestly,
yeah, it's meant to be like the introductory to the system.
It's sort of like Lost Mines is fine for what it teaches you. It's not great, but it like
I struggle to say Lost Mine is even fine, because like you could just TPK the level 1 party immediately.
That's true if you're not careful. I forgot that like
you fight a bugbear.
Very early, like first level, fight a bugbear. Those guys, when they get the initiative on you, do like 2d8 extra. He will drop someone. He
killed a wizard in the party I was in when I was playing it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was their attempt at first publishing.
It's like fine mostly. It's also side quests, the adventure.
I really have to like look into and try out like both the Pathfinder First Edition, Pathfinder Second Edition, like beginners box adventures, because they have those too. I'm curious as to how well they did or something.
I want to play more Pathfinder Second Edition one day.
I really
that's a big one I want to do.
Well, the thing is, I keep thinking about like starting more on-stream campaigns. Like, I have a short list of ones that I want to do. Like, I'm fine with the 2 I have, but like I want to do like another World of Darkness one. I'm holding off for like Madness until Buccaneers is Dead and may replace it. But I'm also thinking like, well, what if I do like something like a 2nd edition game, you know, and like
do like a little 2nd edition game.
Maybe rather than like they've these 3 adventure paths now. Like do one of those.
Like 3 of them, yeah.
Because that will take like maybe like half a year to a year.
Yeah, they're like, and from what I've heard, the 2E adventure paths are pretty good.
All the lessons they learned in 1E. They learned a lot of lessons as they kept going in 1E, you know, and building on top of what they had. And they experimented a lot, you know, you could see where they're doing experimentation to, like, you know, test the limits of their own system in, like, interesting and new ways and tell different stories. Mixed bag of success, you know, Carrion Crown has a lot of issues, but, like, you can see what they were trying for a lot of it. And then, like, Skulls and Shackles, you know, but those are very early on, and they did a lot of that. So, like,
the early ones have more issues. Even Skulls and Shackles has issues, but they're less than the ones before it. So each adventure path, they've gotten better.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's when you just tell the basics, it's fine. It always is.
Lightning, I'll just run Skyrim for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'll do.
But
everyone wakes up in a cart. Hey, you're finally awake.
So yeah. So anyway, Coriola's book is out. You know what's also technically out now?
Technically out.
I didn't know wasn't an out. Now I'm going to tell you here. This link here is for Modiphius' site because it's being distributed by Modiphius. But it is from Free League Press. It's the Aliens Colonial Marines book. Didn't we talk about...
I thought that book came out already.
No. Apparently, now it's out.
No, I mean, that's cool. I thought that was out because, like, the Alien RPG is really good.
The thing is, what I'm thinking is, maybe we were thinking about it, like, did the PDF come out and, like, this is just now the physical book?
No. Yeah, that might have been the case.
I'm just so, like...
The Alien RPG is actually, like, really good.
Yeah.
No, I'm so confused.
Yeah. It just... Yeah, I know it's being... the products are up.
Giants.
Yeah, the products are up on Modiphius because that's the link there because that's where the selling is because it's I think Modiphius is a really good publishing division, so like I can understand Free League using theirs, but it's also like
that was the case. The PDF was out, but the physical book wasn't.
But how long in between there is it?
Like almost a little under a year.
A year between PDF and physical?
Yeah, the PDF looks like it came out in 2021.
Oh my god, it's way too long.
It can be hard to print a book, to be fair.
I understand, but hasn't this been like a successful thing for them?
This has been pretty successful.
I can understand it can be hard for physically doing copies, but normally when they do these things, they at least have like maybe a couple months in between at most. This seems like
in August of last year.
Okay, so August, September,
like
October, November, December, January, February,
10 months-ish.
10 months-ish. About 10 months.
This is a bit weird, but COVID happened.
I mean, COVID could still have had some effects on this. I can say that too. There could be a lot of reasons behind it. It feels very long still, and I can be like, it's sort of the thing that because it's been so long, I kind of want to hear the story why it's been so long.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell happened? This is very long.
It is.
This is unnaturally long for what these things are normally. But I mean, it's out now.
It's out, and the Alien RPG is apparently like pretty good, from what I've heard.
Yeah. And I'm sure the Colonial Marine one probably adds a lot to it.
I think this is more of the combat-y focused one because like Alien's a horror movie, but you got the Colonial Marines who go in and they shoot some aliens and die horribly.
Yeah, like the original Alien horror movie, Aliens is kind of like an action horror. Yeah.
We don't talk about the other movies.
I mean, the only one you could possibly mention is 3 because it still has some...
3 is like fine.
It's
mostly
fine, and then it just falls into nothingness. After that. They did have...
I hope they release a book for Alien 3. That'd be funny.
I mean, honestly, there would be good things they could have in it. So, I mean, like, it's not necessarily the worst, but, like, also then they really shouldn't...
Also, like, most people ignore those and just consider the comic books the actual sequel, because they are good.
Yeah. Yeah, Alien 3 is just Aliens 1 on a planet, kind of. Yeah. And they just make choices.
And the one after that has the weird alien human.
Then they're just, like, messing with genetics
also, it's kind of a comedy.
Yeah, its tone isn't good.
Its tone was all over the place.
Tone is all over the place. They just made some weird decisions where I'm like, huh?
Then Prometheus and Alien Covenant I despise with all of my passion because Ridley Scott has become a hack.
I felt that at least Prometheus, having seen that one, I'm like, I don't think this should be connected with the Alien movies at all. It should be its own thing.
Here's the fun thing. It's not.
Yeah. It's its own thing, and I wasn't a huge fan of it, but at least it was like I felt like it was a weird
Alien
sci-fi.
Covenant is just an abomination.
Yeah, that was trying to make it connected together.
They had a baby xenomorph, but it stood on like its 2 legs. It had legs first off, which is wrong. That's not how those work.
Anyway,
but it just came out as like a little tiny, fully formed one, which isn't how that works.
It was a thing.
Also, you get to see an actor play the 2 characters, and it's really weird.
I mean, that happens sometimes. Like when it's rare, but it happens sometimes when your story works with it. Like honestly, like I can see like if you're playing 2 characters and the one character shows up very little. in comparison. So like
it was like there were the androids, and all androids looked like one person.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, they did that a little bit in some other things too. But like you know, I think the way I was going to say it is like you could hire on twins, but like that are identical twins. But the problem is if the one doesn't
hard,
and it's hard
and
rare, and also sometimes like the parts aren't equal.
They did that for Terminator 2, and it was really cool.
Yeah, but like there's certainly ones that like, hey, if these parts aren't equal, then really you don't really need to do it. You only have one person playing one mainly and a little bit of the other. But anyway, Aliens Colonial Marines, the physical book is $42.
It's pretty good price for a big physical book, because this book is massive.
Like,
Wizards of the Coast charges that price for their tiny books.
They do. I mean, this is like the medium books in Paizo, so I mean,
yeah,
it's around the same.
It's a 350-page book. It's pretty big.
Honestly, this is the point where like I liked Alien, but Aliens has always been my favorite because it's sort of like it still has that like dark and grittiness and the threat of the creatures, but it's sort of that like.
Yeah, it's the threat and darkness mixed with the cheese of the 80s.
Yeah, and like honestly, like it has the idea of like it's not that we don't stand a chance, it's just that we have to be smart about what we do. You know, it's trying to outthink them kind of things. I mean,
like realistically, they're kind of shit.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them.
Yeah. And you know, it's sort of like in the first one, one creature versus a bunch of just generic people that don't have fighting skills. They're gonna die.
Generic space truckers.
Yeah, generic space truckers. A team of Marines.
Yeah, against a team of the United States Space Marines, you know?
Yeah.
Or Colonial Marines. It's literally what they're called. Yeah, they are the United States Colonial Marines.
I think it's the U.S. took over the world, probably, in that weird... There's probably some kind of weird apocalypse or something, and, you know, we took over, you know, in the distant future. Look, there's a lot of huge corporations, so that makes sense.
Aliens is canonically a continuation of the Blade Runner universe.
Oh.
That's canonical, by the way, because they both reference Blade Runner references things that appear in Alien.
Neat. And Earth is canonically shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's canonically shit. Cyberpunk future.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we're just worrying about the space shit with horrible alien monsters. So interesting. Let's talk about some more stuff. There's a Tokyo, a mythic cyberpunk RPG up on Kickstarter. Which sounded neat.
I like Tokyo, and I like Cyberpunk.
And it's got kind of a mythic vibe to it. So it's kind of like... I guess it's sort of like a little bit more Ghost in the Shell, but mixed with, like, Shadowrun. So it's kind of got, like... rather than reawakening, it's sort of like, oh, yeah, that stuff is, like, you know, their kind of thing, I feel like. So there's, like, you know, the normal, like, yokai and spirits and stuff in Japan, but there's also Cyberpunk.
Oh, it's also got a bit of Akira in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the thing everyone copies.
I mean, you know, those are the classic two.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna copy something, it's gonna be Akira, and you're gonna do the cool bike slide.
Because I mean, honestly, it's better than them being like we're copying Johnny Mnemonic. Because I mean, like that is like the original, the book.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie was pretty early on, but like the book is really the that.
Akira, Ghost in the Shell.
It's fine.
I don't. Yeah, they're the classics. They're like when I think of as cyberpunk anime, I think of those two.
So like the one book here has like Cyberpunk Tengu on the front of it. I mean that's kind of a thing.
Pretty cool. I do really like the art style.
Yeah, art style's good. I'm just trying to look here and see if I can find something on the system it uses if they mention it.
Let's see.
They don't. Oh, here. I think it's a D12 system.
I do. D12 systems can be fun. Yeah, it is a D12 system.
Yeah. So
these dice are D12, number 1 through 6 twice. That's so you could use a D12 or use 2 D6s.
Okay. That's kind of neat.
It is pretty neat. I do actually like D12 and D6 systems. I think they're pretty cool.
Okay, so it's like instead of the number 6, they've got 2 different symbols, kind of thing, or the different symbols on them for the different die. So it's kind of an interesting system here. So hey, and they show off a bunch of like different kind of characters here at the bottom, the crew, different ones, which are kind of neat.
They all got fun art style.
Yeah.
One's a ghost question mark?
Yeah, Shikigami hacker. With your body cryogenically sequestered in an unknown facility, you roam cyberspace as an immortal spirit. From there, you can take any form, control drones.
I like that. That's cool as fuck.
Yeah. So you're the ghost in the machine. Your body's just somewhere else.
That's cool. I actually really like that.
Yeah. Man. So they have very interesting style, and it's another reason like that style drew me to this. So it's cool. Check it out. It is funded. 26 days to go. So it's and I think over here.
$20 it should be PDF, or $30 it should be PDFs.
Yeah, it gives you the 2 main PDFs, any stretch goals, and access to their Codex app. So I mean that's a good chunk of stuff.
It's pretty good.
There's one more Kickstarter I want to talk about today. Yep, and that is a collaborative horror role-playing game in a coloring book.
Fancy.
About adults returning to their creepy old boarding school, Demos Academy.
Neat.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're facing cursed boarding school that terrified them as children's. You're attending a reunion at the school with your collection or memory of their childhood's like at school. You unlock things, so it's an interesting setting for a little horror thing, certainly, and it's a little like and they have like little paper doll things too and stuff like that. It has just it screams a little bit of style, and I think that's why it was interesting.
Yeah, it's got fun style.
Mm-hmm. So if you want like a little like creepy little adventure thing, it's something to check out. I just wanted to kind of mention it because it looked a little interesting with the style and stuff like that. It's funded also, but it only has 4 days left. So I mean, like, if you're seeing this live, I'm probably not going to be having this set up on YouTube anytime in the near future. I've got to get back to having a decent upload schedule.
Yeah, you do.
So you're going to be missing it. I haven't uploaded stuff in like a couple of weeks. So
it happens.
Well, maybe on Sunday I'll do what I keep saying I'll do, is upload for a week. Just spend like an hour doing that, and that would be good. Like once a week, just spend an hour uploading things. And then like just maybe throughout the week, when I remember and have time, edit stuff so it's ready to upload. It doesn't take long. It's just like I have to have it going on in the background and remember to have it going on in the background. Fortunately, our games don't have a lot of editing. Mostly it's just cutting out that like the breaks.
Yeah.
But Zodimos Academy, check it out if you're interested. And then
cool.
There's one that is a little weird, which is it's an actual thing, but it was like on April Fools from Catalyst Games, and it's Pseudo-Tech Arcade Operations.
Okay.
It's like BattleTech, only like it looks like an arena fighter. It reminds me of, wasn't there the Gundam where they were like fighters or something? I can't remember what the fuck it was.
Probably. There's been a lot of Gundams.
It was a weird, like, not normal one where, like, this guy was, like, it was like a fighting tournament of Gundams, or, yeah, Shining Fingers, that one, yeah. I can't remember what that one was called. Gundam something or other. But Lightning remembers at least what I'm talking about. Or Rock'em Sock'em Robots. So PDF was available, and they're doing a print-on-demand coming soon through Drive-Thru RPG. Gundam G, or G Gundam.
That's the one.
Important note, not an April Fool joke. They do put it at the bottom.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, it is kind of a joke, but it is not.
This is a thing in the BattleTech universe, to be fair.
Oh, it is actually a thing where they have like...
This is actually a thing. There are, like... mech battle tournaments. They mentioned it in the BattleTech video game.
Okay.
I think that's one of the origins you can pick.
I mean, that also just makes sense, but it is also like that silly thing of like they're like
it is a bit silly.
It's whatever the oh my god, I'm forgetting so much today. The like robot fighting thing that they've done before. BattleBots. It's BattleBots in Robotech.
BattleBots, but mechs.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of silly.
It's silly, but it's like it's cool, you know.
Yeah.
And it also makes sense. That would just be a thing.
You were right. It was Gundam G, Mobile Fighter Gundam G. Look, I'm lucky. I remembered that it was a thing that existed, and it reminded me of this. I'm glad you remember the name.
So many Gundam series. I don't remember like most of them.
Look, honestly, most of them are bad.
I remember Iron Orphans was pretty good.
Iron Orphans was pretty good, but it's like the newest one.
It is the newest one, yeah.
Like, there's the original, which is fine.
The original has that, like, old anime campy charm.
Yeah, you know, it's aged. So that's, like, it's got the campy charm still.
Gundam G, like... Oh, yeah. I do remember Gundam G.
Iron Orphans is dark as fuck because it's all about, like, they're orphans, you know, and horrible stuff that happens on Mars and stuff. I don't remember anything about Gundam Seed. I remember it existed. Gundam Wing, I liked it a lot in my youth. Nowadays, as I reflect back on it, I realize that it is kind of bad in certain ways, and it was what was on Toonami.
I remember Gundam 00 or whatever.
Yeah, that was a one too.
I remember that one.
Gundam is a...
Because I had a video game of that one.
Gundam Seed Season 2 is pure trash. That's why I don't remember it. Because they had, like, a probably okay first season and trash.
I do remember Gundam Seed.
Yeah. You know, they went downhill fast. Because, you know...
Probably... Oh, when you make, like, a billion series for your series, you're going to have a lot of hit or miss quality.
Yeah. I mean, Wing is a classic. It has its issues. Like nowadays, certainly you could look at it, but like it's got a classic feel. Definitely.
I mean, Gundam is the mech anime.
They're probably in pieces now and put into places that are like collections. But I did have a bunch of like figures for some of the Gundam Wing ones because Austin.
I am always tempted, like, to just buy a Gundam model kit.
Okay,
I'm always tempted to buy one.
I really thought Death Scythe was pretty cool. The big old scythe, you know. Death Scythe and Heavy Arms, the one with all the weapons, because like the twin machine guns on either arm. I thought it was pretty cool too. Like I'm nerdy enough to remember those two at least.
They made a lot of toys of Gundam. They still make toys of Gundam. It's a very toy anime.
The twin Gatling guns on every arm. I thought that was cool! With a giant energy scythe. Look, I like that one.
When you're younger, it's the coolest shit.
Yes.
But, like, if you watch this as an adult, you're like, that's a little silly.
Yeah, twin Gatling guns on either arm. I mean, you know, the giant energy scythe is still cool.
Why do you have melee weapons? You're giant mechs.
Because apparently you can do, like, energy ones and basically lightsaber your enemies.
I mean, it's like the same. It's like all mechs in anime are just cool. Mm-hmm. They're big mechs. Even Evangelion mechs are cool, even though Evangelion is stupid.
Evangelion is just too batshit.
It starts out fine, and then, like, after the third episode, it just jumps off a cliff into insanity.
Yeah, the thing is, like, it's... Even I still, to this day, like, try to, like, say, like, I think I understand some stuff about that one.
Like, I always think back to Evangelion and think, like, I think I enjoyed it?
It was fine. The last episode is
really
bad.
It has no likable characters in it.
That's also accurate. All the characters are kind of awful, is I think the problem.
They're all just terrible people.
I mean, Rey's fine, but she's, like, has no emotions.
She's a
clone.
Yeah.
Hey, spoiler warning! She's a clone.
Hey, spoilers for like a 30-year-old anime.
Yeah, she's a clone of his mom that he wants to get with.
I mean, there's the scene in End of Evangelion where he jerks off in a hospital room.
There is That entire thing too. Look, the amount of shit in that entire thing that's just insane. Someone was on a weird ass drug trip.
Yeah, like the writer has the writer first off hates Evangelion, despite still writing it.
Mm-hmm.
He hates the fan base because they don't understand his work. Even though I'll be honest, I don't think anyone understands your work, dude. It's weird.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Oh. I mean, there's plenty of, like, I'm sorry, 80s, 90s anime that are just, like, someone was on some kind of drugs at some point in time to create these things, but...
Yeah, the 80s and anime now is a lot more tame.
Oh, God, yes.
It used to be, like, real insane. And I preferred when it was, like, more batshit insanity.
Anything
now we just have stuff like Attack on Titan and... I don't know any other animes.
Fine. I just
like the first 2 seasons are okay.
I don't like part of the premise because, like, honestly, like I think I've said this about anime before. I'm not a fan of, like, unnecessary character death where it feels unnecessary. Like
Attack on Titan is character death, the anime.
Yeah, and that's just like a few character deaths here and there that make sense or, like, canonically feel like they match the story. I'm okay with that. When you're just like, it's death, the anime, you know, like, that's why, like, it's hard. Anything that's very apocalyptic, like, especially like zombie apocalypse, it's a very fine line for me, you know?
Yeah.
And it requires a little extra step for me to, like, you know... Yeah, like, granted, if you're going to introduce a side character that's going to die really quickly, okay, but, like, you get rid of main characters a lot, I'm like... It's one of the reasons I just lost interest in something like, oh, well, Walking Dead, because they kill everybody.
I don't think I've watched Walking Dead since season 3.
I don't remember when I stopped, but I did, and I'm glad I did. Honestly, I stopped.
It's still on.
It is still on, unfortunately.
It's still on.
I guess people still like it. Whatever. The aspects of a gritty zombie story isn't bad. It's just like you can only put up so much of that. Yeah, random grunt 38 doesn't really no one cares about, but, like, main character too. But, like, a main character, like, once a season, okay, but they, like, get rid of, like, 5 or 6 a season or something, you know.
Fine to kill off random idiots that have no name because they're there to die, and
yeah.
You know, that's a good way of showing that the world is dangerous, and, you know, the things the main character are doing are, like, really deadly. But then you can't kill too many main characters, or then, like, it feels like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get attached. Like, 1 or 2, yeah, it hits hard. When you kill, like, 3 or 4, it's like, okay, why should I care about any of these people?
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, no, that's the thing about, like, I think that's the thing about modern anime nowadays. A lot of the series that I've kind of enjoyed in the last couple of seasons, they're probably not the best ones, I'm going to say. Like, it's just, like, you know, something that's a little bit more, like, lighthearted, you know, like, like maybe something that's like a slice of life, or honestly, like, a little bit of a sci-fi adventure thing, or...
The last anime I can say that I fully enjoyed was Beastar, the furry anime. It was just good.
It was pretty good. I never finished it, and I thought about getting back to it.
I didn't watch season 2 yet.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like,
the first season was pretty good.
I think, like, I have a lower tolerance for, like, slice of life stuff too. You know,
it's a little bit of a slice of life romance-y anime. I
think I need a little bit more now.
Everyone's a persona.
That is also true. That is exactly what it is. I have to remember what was on last season. Anime Winter 2022.
This is our anime segment of the podcast.
Look, anime counts for this channel because I have up on my YouTube channel ways that you can adapt animes to Besom. I did that.
What's the last anime I watched? I don't think I've watched an anime in 2 years.
Jeez. God. Looks like last season was Oops All Fantasy for me that I was watching.
The last anime I watched was... If I can find it here. Oh, God. I don't know. Honestly, I don't feel like logging into.
Okay, this one was an interesting one, I have to say, just because of the last episode. I might be spoiling something here, but it was all a time loop. Is the answer, but it was a time loop not for the main character. It was how a realist hero rebuilt a kingdom. In the last episode, episode 24, they reveal the king had done a time loop because it's like one of those isekai animes, and it turns out he had done the king had done like such a bad job with summoning him, using him as an actual hero. In the first episode, he's like, you know what? I'm advocating you're the king instead.
Oh yeah, the last anime I watched was Golden Kamu or whatever.
Killing slimes for over 100 years is okay. It's like just simple.
Yeah, I like Golden Kamu because it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Pretty funny anime.
I feel like that's the thing is like something like Killing Slimes, where it's like, yeah, it's an isekai, but it's like just like simple and just funny. That's good. That's what we need nowadays. Sometimes, you know, I think our sensibilities have changed a lot too, and like, I guess there's probably some good stuff out there, better stuff out there. But
hit the point in consumption of media where I don't really care for hyper-violence.
Yeah,
movies anymore.
Yeah, Cutie Fun Time anime feels a lot better. Like, honestly, I don't think I was ever for hyper-violence though. Either.
I mean, like, there's been a few hyper-violent animes that I've like really enjoyed, but I don't think there's any recently.
Hellsing Ultimate
is really good because it's vampires killing vampire Nazis.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like the original Hellsing. I know people like it.
Original Hellsing, okay.
Yeah, but like
there's a lot of filler from what I remember
because the manga wasn't done.
Yeah.
So they did the thing before, like, with only half the manga. And Ultimate just follows the manga. And the manga is just really good, and so they did a really good job, and, you know...
It's also batshit insane.
Yeah, in the right kind of way. It's ultra-violent, batshit insane, the right kind of way. See, that's where that works, you know? It requires stuff to it, though.
I do anytime I do get reminded of Hellsing, I do remember Hellsing Abridged more. Because that was a very funny series.
It's also hard for me to, like, I want to catch up to some of the, like, long-running series as I've watched before, but it's also, like, hard to, because it's sort of like, yes, I've gotten behind, but also, like, certain ones progress better than others.
I tried watching Dragon Ball again. I didn't like it that much, honestly.
The youngish main characters?
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be pretty bad.
I didn't like Dragon Ball that much, because I didn't like, Super. I tried to watch Super again. I didn't like it originally. I tried to give it another shake. I didn't like it again.
I feel like that's why some of the series I've been watching now focus more on, like, you know, probably early 20-year-olds kind of ones. Like, you know, I feel like that's why, like, it's the target audience a lot of times are like that. But the ones that at least have characters that, like, their ages are generically, like, young adult rather than, you know, like, old teenager. I feel like that's a little bit
Super
better.
Is fine. It makes a lot of retconning and changes I don't like. Like, it changed the hyperbolic time chamber a bit too much. But yeah.
And like, I think youngish characters that are just doing, like, adventure-y stuff, I'm okay with that. I feel like sometimes animes get spotty a lot of times. Because, again, like, it's a different culture that our experience with the cultures is kind of harder to do sometimes. But, like, yeah.
I mean, animes are hit or miss for me, personally.
Yeah.
I also don't watch TV that much.
I mean, like... a couple of series online and like a couple of animes a season are kind of what I watch nowadays.
Yeah.
I haven't watched something on... Because, again, like, I can just, like, kind of watch it at my own pace, though, like, for an anime. Honestly, at one point during the week, I'll catch that episode, you know, something like that.
Yeah. I tried to get into Knights of Sidonia a while ago, but the frame rate just made me want to vomit.
It is a weird animation style.
It's 2.5, but it's rendered in such a strange way that the frame rate is really bad.
Yeah. Like, I will tell you, like, I certainly could probably suggest lots of anime that I think would be great in a lot of different genres, and most of them are older ones. There are a few newer ones that I could probably throw out names for. Like, honestly, like, Killing Slimes for 300 Years, the one that, or for, the max level one that Lightning mentioned, that's kind of decent, because it's just, like, simple and fun, It's not meant to be, like, super good, but it's fine, and I would recommend it for just something less lighthearted.
One I can recommend is Ergo Proxy. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's an old one at this point. It's from, like, a decade ago.
Oh, God. If we're talking like a decade ago, there's plenty of really good ones, definitely, at that point in time. I'll still go to bat for things like... I still really like something like Magic Knight Rayearth, one of the early isekais before they called it an isekai.
Well...
Anyway.
Ergo Proxy is not from a decade ago. It's almost 20 years old.
Yeah, time flies. Time flies. Witch Hunter Robin? Yep. That one.
Little Witch Academia, pretty good.
That's a little bit more modern one. Little Witch Academia.
That's a more modern one that's pretty good. I've heard Certain Scientific Railgun is also decent.
Of that universe, I think it's the best one, but the other ones aren't bad. Like, a Certain Magical Index isn't bad. It's a little weirder because it's the same universe, and it just, you can get your brain a little bit that there's, like, things like that. But, and then there's the Accelerator one, which I did see part of. And the universe is pretty good. Confusing, but good.
I mean, most of the anime I've watched is from the 90s and early to mid-2000s. That's just from the period of time when I watched anime.
I keep thinking that's one of those things I should do, like anime watch parties on my Discord.
We did watch Excel Saga.
But I mean, like, just like going for a couple of episodes, testing.
But we should watch like maybe good anime.
Excel Saga isn't bad, but it's insanity.
It's certainly a thing.
It's anime on cocaine.
Yeah, it's I have seen it previously before that, and I find it to be a little too weird sometimes.
There are so many references that, like, my knowledge of anime is pretty high, so I get about, like, 66% of the references. But I only get 66%. There's that other 34% that's in there I don't get because there's just so many. And probably I'm forgetting some by now, kind of thing is too. Because there's, again... it references the anime and it just spouts them out like there's no tomorrow. So,
Darker Than Black is also like pretty good for season 1, I think.
I always recommend Tenchi Muyo, the Ryo-Oki series, because they are the best, and they are still technically doing them, which is kind of weird. I have not seen seasons 4 and 5, and they are supposed to be pretty good.
Just spend all your time watching the 800 episodes of One Piece.
I have.
It may be more than 800.
I have officially seen. Give me a moment here, because I can check where I was at in One Piece because I have to catch up. I've seen 910 episodes of that.
I have watched 300 episodes of One Piece, and that's it. I was like, there's too much now. And that was before it got like super out of hand, because I was watching it like kind of when it was on.
Oh, good. I have 100 episodes I'm behind. Well, that wouldn't take forever for me to watch, technically.
I got to like season 10.
I still watch anime at double speed, 2 times speed, because I just got good at doing that. And I'm a fast reader.
1,013 episodes of One Piece.
Yeah, that's a lot. Don't do that unless you like have someone like give you an abridged of like, here's 100 episodes you need to watch.
One Piece is the Simpsons of anime.
No, Detective Conan is the Simpsons of anime.
Well, I meant because it's too long.
Oh, honestly,
although One Piece is apparently still good.
Yeah, that's what I will tell you. Like I know the story arc there because I was also reading it like a little ahead. I actually kind of like their story. Like, where Bleach and Naruto Naruto fell off a whole bunch, and then their ending was really good. Bleach just kind of fell off completely, and I didn't really like their ending at all.
Bleach died because of writer strike.
Yeah. One Piece still feels like, at least the last storyline I was doing, I still liked it. It was still good. Like, it wasn't, like, super great. It kind of stepped to that, like, moderate, like, yeah, it's pretty good.
I can pinpoint exactly when I stopped watching anime. It was when DirecTV dropped the Funimation channel. And then I didn't watch anime anymore because I couldn't.
Yeah, I always had to rely on, like, the internet for that. Like, because I started with VHSs.
Because back in the day, in the early to mid, like in the 2000s, we had Toonami and we had Funimation channel.
Wait, give me a second.
And those went away for a bit.
Let me just, hopefully this won't, let me replace this.
God, he's getting the VHSs.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. Here we go. There we go. Anime VHS. It's, this, I believe, I originally saw the first episodes in 1999 when I first, or it might have been 2000 or something, when I was early days of going to Otakon, and then I had to find these fan subs online, and you had to order the VHSs.
That's how it used to be. It's so easy to watch anime now. You should be glad.
Sachigumi was the group that I had to order from, and this is...
Yeah. It's so easy to watch anime now.
This has not aged as well as you would like, but it was really hilarious at the time. Akibara Den Gumi, Cyber Team and Akibara. I still like it. It certainly just hasn't aged as well. Gonna be honest on that one. It definitely hasn't.
Just watch shit like Death Note, because that's good. You know?
Yes.
Also, Cowboy Bebop is the best anime, and I will fight you on it.
I don't know if I'd put it my best, but I do put it up there.
My personal favorite.
I like it a lot.
We did talk about anime a lot.
We did talk about anime a lot. We'll have to talk about anime at another time, too. We should probably get to our deeper discussion topic.
Start an anime podcast.
Oh, man, going to Hot Topic to buy anime stuff? Oof.
Oh, shit. Jesus. I remember Hot Topic.
I think they still exist.
Dude, it's mostly band stuff now, I think. And it's still anime stuff, too.
Hot Topic, still existing. Our deeper discussion topic was updating an edition. Too much or too little, because we have talked a bunch about a lot of different editions of games that have come out, you know, over the while now. And, like, I think it's the idea that, like, we can analyze something like, you know, 5th edition D&D versus 4th edition versus 3rd edition, 1st edition Pathfinder versus 2nd edition. Oh, hey, all of what the vampire system was versus 5th edition vampire, you know. We have this experience to talk about, like, a little bit.
Yeah, we do.
Sorry, go
ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's, like, everything needs a refresh nowadays, but you have to, like, be smart about what you do.
I'm of the opinion that you need, when making a new system or an update to your system, especially in this day and age, where people like the more kind of simpler systems rather than the English is hard, the big mechanic crunchy systems, because honestly a simple system is easier to get into. I think you need to look at your current system and look at what is currently not necessarily in, but the current trends things are going, and decide on how you want to handle it then, because that'll give you a good look at what will work and what won't anymore. Because, like, 1st edition Pathfinder and 2nd edition Pathfinder are basically different games.
Yes. They took a look at it, but I think what they did is they were like, they had a framework. It's a D20 system. The scaling is different, very obviously. But they took a look at, like, what worked for them, and then they took lessons from things like, because again, like, 1st edition Pathfinder took lessons from 4th edition D&D. They did. They didn't take a lot of them. They took a few, because they came out around the same time. They looked at it and were like, there's a few things we could learn from that. 2nd edition Pathfinder really took a hard look at 4th edition, 5th edition, a lot of what it is. And
they also had learned from because they did a little bit of changes with Starfinder, which is kind of 1.5 Pathfinder. And they took a look at what worked in that and what didn't work in that, and also used that to influence 2nd edition.
They made good choices, I think is what
they made a lot of really good choices. And like Lightning said, the Star Wars 5e that we play and that I run, that sure is a fan system, but it is an updated system from the 3.5e Star Wars. It looked at what 3.5e Star Wars did, it looked at what 5e did, and it took what the person who wrote it thought and thinks was cool and fun, and made that into a system with a lot of play testing. And it is a very refined system that feels like 5e, but also very different. And it fixes a lot of the problems that 5e has if you don't get a lot of choice in what you make. And that is what I hope Blizzard does with whatever the hell update they're doing to 5th edition. But we'll see. I remain not optimistic, but
it's sort of like, I think a good example of the wrong direction is, in the end, is like Shadowrun. Shadowrun, from 1st to 5th edition, they basically were like, how can we keep our system basically the same but make it easier, more accessible, a little better? How can we improve upon it, refine these systems? Things like when you reach 4th edition, where they make they now take these 3 separate kind of systems, the magic, the real world, and the cyber world, and kind of make it that they can run parallel to each other because they're basically the same but with slightly different rules and veneer, that was good, because then it's sort of it's complex, but the basic idea of them is the exact same. If you run one, you can run the other.
Yeah, I mean, I think, hasn't it kind of agreed upon that 4th edition is the best edition?
4th edition, 5th edition are the two.
4th or 5th, yeah.
5th edition is basically a slight improvement on 4th edition, but I mean, both of them have their merits, because again, their character creations are slightly different. One of them is priority, one of them is point buy, and priority has its advantages, point buy has its advantages. It's kind of a little bit of what you like. And 6th edition was
6th edition is a mess.
How can we make this 5e D&D as
I will never get over the fact that the PDF I have of 6th edition is littered with spelling and grammar mistakes. It is not a high... Granted, it might be better now, but the copy I have is not a high-quality copy.
I think that's why they took it the wrong way, because they're how can we make us into 5th edition D&D was not the right answers. How can the right question would have been, how can we make this a little bit more streamlined?
Yeah, how can we streamline this to appeal to the newer players who are coming into the hobby?
Yeah, they could have done things with I feel like something like Besom. Besom does a good job of Besom doesn't have classes. You can ignore templates completely, but they're early on they're here's a bunch of templates for building your characters, for the creature you can play, the species you can play, a character archetypes you can play, some background templates. Here's some basic stuff to build your character off of. And then we go into what you can spend all your other points on. That was really good, because it gives you that, oh hey, here's some simple ideas I can go on. I'm not working off of nothing. I'm going to be adventurer. Oh, I have some extra points. What do I want to spend it on? And see, that's a good idea. And they could do that for Shadowrun. They could be here's a bunch of examples of some things you could work off of. Or you can just do all your stuff on your own. It gives you options.
How dare you, Lightning? I was a wolf girl. It's different.
Yeah, wolf girl made.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. I honestly, I've got to hit up everybody, because it sounded like I've got 3 people that would still want to play, and I can still play with that. I still have to just run that at some point in time when I was going to run.
There's a half dragon you can play in it. So those are a thing in anime.
Mm-hmm. But go ahead.
Shadowrun did it the most wrong way you could have done it is try to be what another system already is, because you're not going to push it out of its market share at all.
Mm-hmm.
Especially D&D 5th edition.
Yeah, no.
And Shadowrun had a good niche market with what it was with 4th and 5th edition.
Yeah.
And they angered and upset their fan base with it. Which is also what they did with Vampire the Masquerade.
I think half the audience still likes it because, honestly, the half the audience used a lot of stuff with, like, frenzying and stuff, too. Yeah. So, like, the frenzy dice, it's like, for me, it's miss. But I can see how someone would like that because
people liking it.
Because it is an aspect of the game.
For me personally, if I would play vampires, that's an aspect I don't care about. I care more about the political side of the system.
That's the problem, is Vampire is defined by its political system, plus also you're dealing with the beast inside. So you're dealing with the beasts outside and inside. And I think they've switched that. And I think that's why 5th edition Vampire is not a good update, because they took what there was as a pre-built thing and switched it. If someone new comes in now, honestly, they might be able to deal with it. It sounded like some people that have had experience with it don't like it, especially when they're coming in from, like, 5th edition, but, like, yeah, getting blood and holding back the beast is, like, core rule now. And I gotta be honest, that stuff was always a problem with dragging down a game.
Yeah.
If you did it wrong. And it was very easy to do it wrong. So, I haven't seen them update it to not do it wrong in 5th edition. Meaning now that they've put it to the forefront, I worry about a lot of people just having worse results in their games because of it. Maybe there are plenty of storytellers out there that do a good job. But it's sort of like, it feels like the wrong direction to go in. Or at least to give... Like, I don't mind them if they had put together, here's a bunch of optional stuff, rather than engraving it in. Like, you know...
Yeah, like, if it was a side rule that is optional and can work and be, like, sort of fit in... Because those are the best kind of systems, is when the rules are somewhat modular, and they have a list of optional things you could add in, and it's a very long list.
Yeah.
That's in my opinion, personally. But I feel World of Darkness is...
Yeah, it's an RP system first.
Yeah, it should always be an RP system first.
But the thing is, like, I feel like the RP that they're going for is the opposite of what it was previously, too. Like, previously it was RP, like, political drama RP, like, you know, messing around with the politics of vampires. It's not bad to make it the personal aspect of messing around with my own inner beast and facing against that as an RP measure. Yeah, that's not bad.
You can have that, but when you tie it to a dice roll you have to make, like, all the time,
yeah,
it's not very good.
I don't know. I feel like it's I know what they wanted. I just feel like 5th edition Vampire, as much as I dislike it, I feel like it's not bad. I just dislike it because it's my style of play. It's against that, especially when it comes to World of Darkness and Vampire. But I feel like I understand where they were going, at least. So it's sort of like one of those ones that, like, they made an update that has an aesthetic that I understand. I just feel like they could have done it better, you know?
They really could have.
And I think that's where this one is. It's not a bad update. It's one that could have been done in a better way.
Yeah.
And I feel like in that one, at least they weren't doing a D&D experience kind of thing, too. They were still keeping to their own measure, which is good. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like just... Maybe they didn't ask the fan base. They might not play test.
Possible.
They could have play tested with just generic people too.
Yeah.
Optional rules too. Optional rules are really good.
Another system update that this is like a mega niche one.
Mm-hmm.
Stars Without Numbers.
Mm.
The original Stars Without Numbers is bad.
Yeah.
It's overcomplicated. The ship combat is an absolute mess, and it's just a pain, and is awful. But the Advanced Edition, or whatever updated edition they did, which is the better version, it made it a lot better, but retained the deadliness of the system, which is, I personally am not the biggest fan of the deadliness of the system.
I mean, not me either, but I think, like, I was talking to my friend Will the other day, and we were talking about Stars Without Numbers a little bit, honestly, because, like, we both were recalling how he had done a Stars Without Number game that he had adapted to a sort of not like it wasn't a future setting. It was more like a slightly off of modern setting, where we were. Honestly, it was a really interesting setting because we were gangsters in Canada.
Mm-hmm. I actually do think Stars and Numbers is a very good system. I think it has the issues of being because you have to look at it as you're normal people. You're not like heroes.
Yeah.
Although there are rules for heroes, you're just normal dudes doing things.
I think the way he put it is Stars Without Numbers, especially second edition, is a pretty good system, but it requires work for a DM.
Yeah.
It's like a framework more than actual. It's a good framework system, better than something like because he has like, some experience with like the age system and GURPS. He had actually had some experience with those, and he's like, as a framework system, it's better than GURPS. GURPS has the material that you can like you can fall back, and it has books on those frameworks, so you don't have to do a lot of stuff on your own. Same with a lot of the age system too, like Fantasy Age and all those and stuff. They usually have a lot of books that fit that thing for you, so you don't have as much work. But as a framework system, it works better.
Yeah, I do agree. It is Stars and Numbers is like a really good system for role playing. But its combat is not the greatest for the most part. Because again, you are very likely to just die.
Yeah. I think that the other thing that we kind of have to talk about is like we should talk about the D&D Pathfinder kind of combination of things here because they've fed off each other. I'm going to say that honestly. Like D&D's evolution is fairly simple to a degree with the hiccup of 4th edition. Like 1st edition to 2nd edition, it was kind of streamlining a bunch of stuff, and there was some stuff in there. 3rd edition was basically saying, let's get rid of THAC0 and make the skills a little better. There were some issues with 3rd edition into 3.5 they talked about. That's something to talk about another day. But like if you look at all of them, they're very similar. Like I can understand a lot of what's going on in 3rd edition if I'm going back to 2nd edition, 3.5 if I'm going back to even 1st edition. There's the core there. 5th edition's even the same, honestly. Like if
5th edition's core is still pretty similar.
Yeah, like I can look at the core of what 5th edition is and look at like something in 3rd edition and say like, oh, okay, I see these. 4th edition is one of those things that was a mistake, I think.
It's an awkward. It's a mistake, but at the same time, it's the reason we got what we got with 5th edition, really.
Yeah, and I will say that. It was a good mistake in the long run.
It was a learning experience.
Because there's a lot of what modern-day role-playing, the good parts of it, that came from 5th edition.
Yeah.
Things like making cantrips basic attacks so that all the spellcasters have an attack that makes them feel like they can do something. The way that they did powers, I think, wasn't perfect, but it did allow like the idea of this like short rest, long rest. So it's like I have short rest powers, I have long rest powers. That's neat. Healing up with hit dice came from that too. The healing surge is there. There was
a lot of 5th edition actually does come from 4th edition.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that.
There's so much there that is good and bad at the same time because
they learned a lot of lessons from it. And honestly, it's as sad as this because it is a system people spend a lot of time in. I'm kind of glad it was the failure it was. Yeah. Because we got something better.
Yeah. In this case, I feel like 4th edition was needed. Like, again, like, I always thought they were trying to recreate, like, stuff like an MMO on paper from the feel of it. Learning recently that they had a virtual tabletop that they were going to do at the side of it that never was completed.
It was originally meant to release along with a companion virtual tabletop, but the virtual tabletop was never finished, which led to the system feeling bad.
And that's the thing is, it needed that. That's the problem. Like the tactical movement of 4E, I liked it. The tactical side of it. Like when it got into the meaty combats, I actually really enjoyed the meaty combats of 4E. I'm going to be honest on that one. There was always interesting thing happens. Like you could strategize in interesting ways. Like hey, maybe these kobolds have gotten the high ground against you, but what happens if I push them back so they fall over or something like that, you know? And I use one of my abilities to knock them over. So now that they fall down and they're like down prone, and now we can have like the fighter dog pile on them or something like that and plan it out, you know?
That kind of stuff was really cool in 4th edition.
And so it's sort of like that essence of 4th edition. There is good stuff in 4th edition. I just feel like it's that overall package and...
Yeah, overall it's bad, but it has a lot of really good subsystems in it.
Yeah.
Especially, I do think it really did have fantastic combat, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you did have to use a map.
You need a map for it, certainly. I still want to do like a 4E adventure with a bunch of people, just because it'd be fun to get back to, especially now that we have, like, again, we have Roll20. Guess what that is?
We have virtual tabletops. No, they're very commonplace.
It's exactly what you need to. So that's why I kind of want to revisit it one day. And then
an experience to see for new people, just to see what it was like. It's the meme of 4th edition bad. 4th edition's actually like mostly okay.
Yeah, it had big issues that I can point out, glaring ones, but like. And it didn't feel the same as D&D. I think the major thing is they added the epic levels, so it was a 30-level system.
Yeah.
It was a 30-level system, which didn't feel the same. Like, there's so much that they did that was just different.
There was a lot of experimentation, and experimenting is good because it can lead you to, again, figure out what works and what doesn't, and that's what they did is they looked at 4th edition and said, what worked, what didn't work, we'll make something new.
I think, like... when we talk about Pathfinder, then, because we do have to talk about Pathfinder, because it is an evolution of 3.5 DM&D, is it fixed a lot of 3.5, which was good, but it pretty much was just 3.75.
Pathfinder is, it's 3.75, and it still suffered from the bloat issue of 3.5. Granted, it was less bloat, but it's still a very bloated thing.
Yeah. They had a lot more controlled bloat, but like overall the years they put a lot. And lightning to your thing, yes, 3.5 did have epic levels, but the way that worked is you roll from 1 to 20, and then after that you could just go into epic levels, which could be any number. 4th edition was built into 3 different tiers, where you'd have the normal, heroic, and epic tiers, and each of those tiers you would gain a like archetype for your class under. So it was specifically built in that you were going. If you're on a normal character build, go to level 30.
That's weird.
Yeah, that was the way it was specifically done. Granted, yes, if you played up to level 20, you're still playing up to level 20. It's just they added in those 10 extra levels in their normal stuff.
Yeah, it was a bit messy.
Mm-hmm. Or you could be like me, who had a character that was a warlock, but I was multi-class to get some sorcerer abilities, and allowed me to take a sorcerer template, which actually helped me because all the warlock templates sucked for me. So I took this like sorcerer ice one that actually was really cool, and I only got to play like 2 levels of it, which kind of sucked. And I went
unfortunate.
That's when our game broke down. Unfortunately, the 4th edition game. We got a good chunk of the way through the adventures though, so it was cool. I played through. It was like it was the 4th edition adventure path, which was like the one that you go fight Orcus at the end when you're 30th level. I got through part of it.
I played, I think, a cleric when I played 4th edition because I am a sucker for clerics.
I'll say 4th edition warlock felt like 3rd edition warlock. That's why on our topic list, which I'm pointing on my screen right now over here, there is Warlock 5e, where it went wrong, because you know what? Warlock 4e still felt like Warlock 3e. I'm going to say that. They still had the exact same feeling. They removed that in 5e.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, so yeah, Pathfinder, it's just an evolution. And then Pathfinder 2nd edition is so out there, but they did it well. That's the thing is, it feels like an upgrade that doesn't betray the people before.
It still feels like Pathfinder.
Yeah, and that's an important thing about it. Like, yeah, the scaling's different. Things like your base attack, base saves, base skills, they don't really exist the same way anymore.
I think like the change from the standard Swift. Full round whatever action system that they had in first edition where you could move and all.
Yeah.
I prefer that they lumped everything into you can take 3 of any action per turn. I actually think that is genius.
It hurts sometimes, but it also adds a lot of strategy, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's the 3 action system of Pathfinder 2nd edition, I think is a really good idea. The more I certainly can under times where I'm like, damn it, I don't have enough actions to do what I want. But it's the same thing of like, I gotta think about what I can do on my turn.
You have to plan your turn out, because in 5th edition, you really don't do a lot of planning in 5th edition.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I never have to. I mostly play marshals, which is hit thing with stick.
It's that interesting thing of like, I'm playing a bard in 2nd edition from the game I'm playing in 2nd edition. I can at will do the bardic performance.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's one of my actions. So I have to consider whether it's worth it to give that one action to give everybody a bonus this turn.
When I played that Kobold Rogue, granted it was low level, so I didn't have like a billion things I could do.
Yeah.
It was like, I did have to think, alright, do I want to try and do my weird ability where I trip the guy, or do I want to use my action to try and get between his legs and get behind him?
Yeah.
Or do I want to just attack him? And I had to actually think and plan out my turn.
Yeah. I feel like... and like, I feel like they looked at the bloat of Pathfinder and the lack of bloat in something like 5e and came up with a really good compromise, because they're like, there is a lot to Pathfinder, but the thing is, they're all gated off into different sections in 2e.
The best part, in my opinion, of Pathfinder 2e is they took a lot of the... I'm going to use Ancestries because Pathfinder uses the Ancestries. Looked at the ones that weren't played a lot because mechanically they weren't good and fixed them.
Mm-hmm. The idea that, like, every ancestry gets feats as you level up, I think was genius, because sort of like you're getting more skills or like learning more stuff about your own people, as you level up. You're having opportunities to do that, to develop abilities that maybe like, you're learning about or something like that. Or maybe an ability you had like requires another one. I develop it more, like,
like Kobold. Kobolds in Pathfinder 1st edition are terrible.
They're hilarious, but terrible.
They're funny, but they're awful to play. In 2nd edition, they're pretty fun and good.
Yeah.
Because they get access to things as they level through feats. Like, they will get a Draconic Breath weapon eventually, which is cool as hell. Also, Kitsune actually are good now.
I think they do a lot of things in very interesting ways, like skill feats. I don't mind like their skill way they do skills. I feel like sometimes there's certain classes they feel like they don't give enough skills. Like, that's the only thing I have to feel like the need for skills versus the skill ranks don't always feel like they match up sometimes. That's one of the things. And like some of the ways the book is set up for the combat systems I do have complaints about, but that's like, those are minor.
Those are relatively minor, not like the book layouts are, it's not the best sometimes, but that's not really the system. That's just whoever printed the book.
Yeah, I mean, like some of it's the system where you have to reference one thing to another, which happens in sometimes the systems. It just is annoying when it does.
Yeah. I also do like in Pathfinder 2 we retained the ability to do weird builds that you think wouldn't work but actually do work.
Yes.
Like I built a champion, which is a paladin, based around the demoralization mechanic.
And you can get it working.
Yeah, and you can get that to work, and it actually works pretty well.
The options that the thing is, the system as it's built makes a lot of the other weirder options that they had more viable too.
Yeah.
So sort of like we can have, it's not only oops all options, it's oops all good options. And I think that's one of those things that first edition suffered from, is like, if I would take the PSFR D20 now and break down the feats, I'm going to be honest, maybe 33% of them are usable.
Yeah, a lot of things in first edition Pathfinder are just bad.
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, I've seen Pathfinder ruined for someone because they went in and didn't know all of the useless garbage in first edition, and they made a non-functioning character.
It's unfortunately like this is the one thing I do say about first edition is like if I'm introducing it now to some person, I'm just gonna go core book. Here's the core book.
And like maybe the
advanced player's guide, because they came out pretty well.
Those are like the 2 books.
It gives you most options that you really could play with. Like if you want something else from that, you can talk to the person. But I'm like, take a look at these first. Honestly.
Yeah. Always look at the 2 main books first. If you spot something in a different book you want to see, like Occultist, the Occultist stuff is cool and fun, but it's weird.
I haven't looked at how they majorly changing the lore in 2E, so I don't know about ruining it. I thought they were basically playing as if like a lot of the bad stuff had happened in the other adventure paths and like kind of gotten solved. So changing some of the basic aspects.
I think that's fine because it's like a long time advanced in the future. Also,
it's better than 5e doing it for favor.
Yeah, 5e has done worse to their system.
Like,
unfortunately,
as having experience between editions with changes that are like that before, honestly, my old manness comes into help there. I understand it like, you know, because Pathfinder is newer and there's a lot of newer players there, they can make the feels that their changes might be too much. Like, something like 5e being like, well, drows no longer worship Loth, and like, oh, they're not really evil, they're a small sect, a cult, if you will, in between them. I'm like, that's a major change that makes no sense.
It's a major change that they don't explain. They could very easily explain it.
They could come up with some epic storyline of like Dritz. Look here, use Dritz. He led a crusade that liberated the Drow cities from Loth's control.
Yeah,
there you go.
Are they going to do that? No, probably
no.
Not.
You know, it would be a really ridiculous storyline that I'm like, okay, that seems silly.
This is why Lightning and I made a setting.
Yeah, but they could do that. And I think it's the other thing that, like, honestly, I have my preference now. If I'm going to choose a system that I would want to run, that just is going to, I'm a random game, you know, something I make up on a world of, I'm probably going to press Pathfinder 2E, honestly.
Glorian is just a better world, in my opinion.
Because I like the Glaring world. Yeah.
It has a bit of everything.
The simplicity of 5e is tempting a lot for being a DM, because it is very easy. But the thing is, it's just, I agree with the idea that it's a very casual system. It's a very simple system that has simple problems then. It's too simple.
I think that 5e is still the best introduction to a role-playing tabletop game because of its simplicity. However, for people who are more experienced, I think that 5e is a little bit too simple mechanically.
It's great for newbies. Great for newbies.
It's amazing for new players.
But
for us old timers, it's a little simple.
Like new timer systems, original World of Darkness, very simple system. 5e, very simple system. And if you have a very good DM that's not going to murder you, and you're going to start at more than first level, Stars Without Numbers is a very simple system.
If I did Stars Without Numbers game, I don't think I'd run combat until like people are over level 2.
Yeah.
Honestly, because the thing about Stars Without Number is you can get a disparity in the level of characters because all of the experience is personal quests, which is cool, but can lead to issues down the line. So it is hard to plan out combat for it.
Yeah, see, that just becomes issues like some of those things like that like honestly. The DM can just alter that.
In the game I was in of Stars Without Numbers, we ended the game. Someone was like level 5, and everyone else was like level 3.
Honestly, I would just not do that then. You know? That's the thing is like, if you don't want that, don't do experience disparity.
The personal quests are cool, and you can still have them, but I don't like it being tied to it being really the only metric for leveling up the party.
So it's like It's that, honestly, like, there is plenty of simplicity in systems to choose out with, and I think the thing is, when we're talking about a system and a lot of the basics of it, you gotta separate out lore to a degree, because certainly lore is so hit and miss. Like,
I have so many fundamental issues with the actual lore of Dungeons and Dragons, because it is all stuff that was written in the 70s, and a lot of it is, there's a bit of it that's not okay anymore.
Yeah.
So I know why they changed it. They could have changed it in better ways.
Yeah.
But overall, I think the changes are good. And lore doesn't matter that much, because most of the time a player's not going to ask.
I will also agree with what Josh has said. Tabletop enjoyment is more important than system rules.
Yep.
And that is a huge thing. You want to make sure your players are having fun. You know, there are so many things to make a experience fun with a tabletop game.
Yep.
And system is part of that. It is lower on the list, certainly. I will definitely agree to that. Like, I could probably run a 5th edition vampire game and have a really good time. You know what I'll probably do? Ignore the feeding dice thing.
I imagine you can just easily ignore it, honestly.
You probably just homeroom cutting it out, you know? And, like, it's sort of like there's a lot of stuff you can do like that. If you don't like something, you can cut it out as a GM. But that requires you to be a good DM and have the right players and have, like, a good idea at your table.
Yeah, and it can be hard to get that. It really can. I'm not the most experienced DM. I think I do a mostly okay job. I've definitely fucked up pretty badly as a DM before.
We all fuck up.
Everyone does it. Everyone fucks up as a DM.
After every session I have that I run a game, I try to talk to my players just a little bit to be like, how'd you like it? Because I'm like, how did I do today? Did I do an okay job at least? What were my major mistakes that maybe I want to try to correct? And I've learned that that's a very important thing to do, because I didn't do it for the longest time. And I will give the example of, if you want to go back and see what mistakes are, watch Madness Land. It's still a pretty good series, but the amount of mistakes I make as a DM in that series, and you can feel it as it gets later on, are bad. I make so many.
I think as a DM, I found a decent place in my skill of, like, and this is the way I DM. I'm very fast and loose with rules, and that can lead to issues of itself. But I think I'm pretty good with keeping my rulings consistent, at least.
I think it's, like, the difference between how I evolved too, where I moved from a very mechanical, write everything down DM to I was going to bullshit the entire thing. So it's sort of like, I try to come up with a basic framework for what's happening in Children of Wrath. You know what happens after that basic framework? They follow it because it's pretty easy. I don't write a lot of details down. You know,
like, I'll use like Star Wars as an example. I've not planned shit for that game, really. I've given you options, and I've given you a big ship, and you can go really do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know you're going to go to Coruscant, and you're going to go to Korriban.
Yep.
But I don't know what else you're going to do.
Honestly, like, my character doesn't have, like, a place to push them unless I unlock that, like, you know, oh, hey, I need to, like, find a Sith holocron and a Jedi holocron and, like, do some kind of weird shit to combine them to make, like, you know, ultimate neutralness or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you combine them, you get to answer one question.
How can I be true neutral?
Yeah, how can you be true neutral?
We did have one, but we had to give it away.
It was broken.
It was broken anyway. Yeah, but I agree that, like, you know, trying to, like, move on, fixing, and being ready to correct your mistakes is good. And that's an aspect of all of this.
I have gotten better at talking to my players, and asking mainly what they want from a game.
Yeah.
That's always how I kind of lead. And I've gotten a pretty good idea what everyone wants from the game I'm running currently. But I am kind of sprinkling in some new stuff because I want to see how people feel about ship combat. So I'm giving you a bunch of easy ship combats you can do and stuff.
And I think that's another aspect of all this too, which harkens back to our original discussion. Definitely is, no matter what you're doing with the system, even if it's like an updated system, you have to figure out where the rules fit into your game too. Yep. Like 5e, as much as I bust it for being very simple, it does have a lot of optional rules, and it can be built upon by a lot of material. That's the advantage of 5e that has it. I feel like the base system has so many issues, but it can be fixed. And I think there's a difference between that and something like Shadowrun 6e, where they don't really have a foundation for adding stuff back in that they gutted out of it. Vampire 5e has a foundation for maybe cutting a few things out. Pathfinder 2nd Edition, they have systems for building more stuff on top of their stuff in place. They have like a very good basic. They might not need to use as much as, say, like 5e, but you can build on top of it.
Yep.
That's the mark of like a good update, is you still can build on it.
I will agree. Tabletop is a cooperative storytelling experience. Everyone has to cooperate with the DM. The DM has to cooperate with players, and if you do that, you will generally have a pretty fun time.
Yeah. It's the thing of like, again, it's that tier list. It's like, DM and players have to cooperate, the story has to cooperate, and then also the system has to cooperate.
Yep.
You have to have this like meld of all these things together, you have to be a good group that works together, and then you have to make sure the story fits everybody, and then you have to like also make sure you made a good choice on your system and it fits everybody.
Yeah. And it can be hard, but if you have a problem player, they're gonna be a problem forever.
So I feel like there's a problem players definitely forever, but that's a different topic. I think
that's way different.
I think the last thing I want to say about this entire thing is look at editions of a game.
Yes.
You want to take a look at the last couple of editions and figure out what works best for you. And especially if you look at the modern edition of a game and you feel like there's some issues with it or you don't like some things about it, take a step back. Because honestly, like, I gotta be honest, like, if you want to, now granted, like, as you're saying, Pathfinder is 3.75. If you want to take a step back from 5e D&D because you feel it's too simple, take a look at 4th edition. With the virtual tabletops, it works perfectly fine now. It corrected a lot of the issues having it on Roll20. Even 3.5, as much as it is an older system, it still can be played.
Yeah.
It still is perfectly fine.
3.5 can still be fun.
I mean, you definitely get a point in time where I have not gone to fist fight, but I've gotten pretty close to sometimes wanting to punch my DM. I've had to take a step out of the room.
I don't think I've ever gotten to that to a DM, but I've gotten to that to a fellow player before.
Just like I got to that almost with the DM because it was just like it was like a session of frustrating circumstances that I was being thrown into, combined with incredibly low rolls that each of them were having worse results. So it was sort of like this cascade of shit that I was going into, and I just had to and the DM was still pushing us forward, and I'm like, I've got to take a step out because I don't want to continue forward now. I'm getting frustrated.
I've definitely had to take a step back in a game because one player was taking their tomfoolery a little bit too far and it was ruining things. So I've definitely had to be like, I need a minute to do things and not be angry.
Unfortunately there isn't really a good modern take on D&D. D20 Modern it's 3rd edition, so if you can deal with the issues of 3rd edition, it's decent for 3rd edition. I'm going to tell you. 3rd edition has huge issues, that's why there was a 3.5. I don't think there was a 3.5 update for D20 Modern. There needed to be, honestly. But I've played D20 Modern. What was there? There was Spycraft. Spycraft had a 3.5, and it was like a modern one, but it was specifically like a spy-based game. Exactly what it sounds like. That is one that I could recommend. I had some friends that really liked it, but again, you have to be used to something like Pathfinder 1E or 3.5 or something, because it's around that kind of game. So, I mean, but yeah, there's no real great modern. I mean, the Star Wars 5e game is pretty good, as we've said. It's an update, and it's fixing a lot of stuff, so.
No system is perfect, and there's a billion flavors of system to pick from.
Yeah, and honestly, like, if you, again, as I said, um, don't just settle, especially if a game has multiple editions. Like, if you're feeling like there's, like, if you're reading through it and feeling like there'd be issues with you or your players, check an older one.
Yep.
Like, I could recommend, like, you know, I could say, 5th edition's fine. 3.5 has some bloat to it, but it's fine. 4th edition's fine. Pathfinder 1E and 2E are both good. Hey, Vampire, I would recommend the 20th Anniversary Edition. It was the best edition up until 5th edition.
Yep.
Shadowrun, 5th edition? 4th or 5th edition. 4th or 5th edition. They're pretty close to each other. The big thing is if you... I think 5th edition is a little easier for characters because it's a priority system.
5th edition is a priority system, so it's a little easier.
Yeah. If you want a little bit more character choice and your players are at least a little bit more familiar with stuff, I definitely would say, like, 4th edition then. Bessem, I could recommend the new edition, honestly. It's just an update to the old edition, and it's made a little better. Just they fix a little bit of issues. You know, that kind of thing. It's not a major jump for me for us to, like, have talked about it. It's a fine, just simple upgrade. You know, just streamlining some stuff. But it's still a basic thing. You know, you just have to, like, maybe just look into it. There's definitely other systems I could point out that I know have had a lot of additions and stuff. Things like Cyberpunk, Earth Dawn, Call of Cthulhu. GURPS has had a few additions.
GURPS is like 4 editions, I think, right?
But, like, GURPS has issues on its own. Interesting to try out. But there's a lot of things that have had these multiple editions. You have to, like, look at them. And even, like, if you want to go outside, there's plenty of indie games out there. Like, I could recommend things like the Star Trek game, if you want to look into a 2D20 system, or some of the other 2D20 systems Modiphius does.
I highly recommend the Fallout system.
The Fallout system's good, too. I've only read through a little bit.
It's actually, like, really good. In my opinion.
Honestly, like, Fantasy Flight does a really good job with their Star Wars game.
Yeah, Fantasy Flight does do a great job with Star Wars game, and they're able to do reprintings now because they've sorted out the licensing issues that they apparently had.
Oh, they had licensing issues. That's why we haven't heard anything about it.
They had licensing problems, so they're able to do reprints now.
Can they make new stuff or not?
I believe they're just doing reprints first.
Okay.
They might be able to, because they got bought. Fantasy Flight got bought by, like, one of the big
Asmodee.
Yeah, Asmodee, which ruins everything it touches, honestly.
Asmodee is just...
And the licensing got fucked up, so they had to fix the licensing. So they're doing reprints, and then they might do new stuff.
That's why I was glad when I heard Plaid Hat Games, because they did a few games that I liked, broke away from Fantasy or Asmodee finally. They were under its wing, and they were just kind of, like, stagnating under it. Yeah.
Asmodee poisons everything it touches, unfortunately.
Yeah, but they eat up a lot of it. They're trying to be a Hasbro.
They're one of the big monopolizing forces in the tabletop industry.
They're trying, and they're not doing a good job of it. Just because they're not doing good quality, they're basically pulling an EA and eating the studios and destroying them.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of studios unfortunately die under those kind of wings.
Yeah. And you never know who's under them until you can find out. Especially, because, you know how I could find out? Because I went to PAX Unplugged as press. You can find that stuff out because when you talk to some people from one of those booths, they say, go talk to the Asmodee representative first. Because you gotta go through Asmodee before you can talk to them.
Yep.
That's why I don't try to talk to them anymore. I gave up on those companies that do that because I don't want to go through an extra party. Especially a big company like that. I don't want to deal with that. I have had tough times trying to deal in the past with Wizards, but I haven't tried in a couple of years. I'm not big enough for Wizards to care about me anymore.
No, but Wizards has gotten better with talking to community influencers and press.
They've gotten slightly better press and stuff. But
yeah.
Anyway. We should talk about our week in tabletop.
We had tabletop this week. We did.
Did you have anything on a Sunday?
Sunday, no. We had to take off again because DM is in university and has to do a dissertation.
Anything on a Monday? I don't think I had anything on a Monday.
I don't think I do anything on Mondays.
Neither do I. Tuesday we had Star Trek. Star Wars.
We had Star Wars, not Star Trek. That's a different thing.
That's I had it on my brain because I was mentioning it.
You guys went and did a cool plan and stole back a spaceship from some Imperial dickbags.
Totally we stole it because, it was taken from the rebels and not because we were going to keep it for ourselves. Cough, cough, keeping it for ourselves.
Constantly enjoy, and this is not a slight at anyone in the party, I did really enjoy your Bothan being like, oh yeah, the Empire's, after me. And no one asked any questions.
Oh.
As to why. No one just that's fine.
Yeah, we were just like,
yeah, no one questioned why she had an Imperial officer's uniform.
Well, no, I took note of when she mentioned working on power systems for something. I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I probably realized as my character that certainly, but I wasn't going to
figure certain things out.
Look, I wasn't going to say anything about it. I've got my own issues to deal with. I summoned a Force Ghost everybody hates. You summoned a
ghost? He's chilling out in the captain's lounge.
Look, everybody hates him when he's perfectly fine. He just does stuff.
He's a dick.
Just don't talk to him. Just don't talk to him.
He's a dick.
And
I think you're going to go raid some ships.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go to Coruscant or something.
Something like that. Also recruit some crew or something, because, this ship probably...
You turned down crew from Crime Man, which was probably a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, he was crime rebel, but still...
He's not the best guy. He did have you partake in terrorism.
He did. He feels very Saul Guerrero in his ways of doing things.
It's almost like he's a crime lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop summoning ghosts on round ship.
I paid for this ship this time so I can summon ghosts. I paid out of pocket to fix up the ship and scrub it, so I get to summon ghosts on this one. I'll have him stay on the big ship if we go on the smaller ship. How's that sound? Or he'll just be invisible. You won't see him.
You might want to just have him be invisible for a bit, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, have him not be invisible on Coruscant. I'm sure that'll be fine.
I'm not having him come on to Coruscant. I'll be like, I'll summon you if I need you, but I'm gonna be like, it's probably best not to show up here.
Yeah, just have the Grand Inquisitor on Coruscant. He was supposed to be dead.
You're welcome for saving that math. Look, I had you save math. It's fine. Anyway, yeah, we had Star Wars, and then Buccaneers should be back next week, so we still off. We finished season 2 of Children of Wrath.
We did. We did finish season 2 of Wrath.
I was always going to end season 2 at the end of Shiv, and I didn't know if we were going to have it today or a couple of weeks from now or what. And honestly, you finished Shiv today, or on Thursday. You just finished it. So it's like, hey, season 3 we're moving on to.
We talked to the council, and I got told I'm full-time magic.
Yeah,
That's a problem, maybe.
Look, it's the entire thing of like, hey, these things happened, and they're like, well, you've officially elected yourselves as the authorities of these things because you're the ones that were there. Congratulations. These things are very good for, I don't know, the globe to know about and other people to know about. They're going to be looking at you now. We're going to go tell everybody because we're a nation that's trying to be global.
Fine.
So certainly...
Fine.
I mean, honestly, oh God. If you're heading to Orvada, that actually might have some issues, though, because Orvada will learn about it, and Orvada, that's a merchant council in charge of that.
There's a merchant council.
They might want to talk to you?
Technically, I think my character might be on that council.
Probably. You probably have one of your children, represent you, when you're not around.
Yeah, my character owns a major shipping company. He might just be on that council.
I wouldn't be surprised since you live in the capital of Orvada, which is Orvada. It's like New York State. It's great. New York City. It's a great same place. So great they named it twice. So is Orvada. Yeah. You're in Orvada. I do love that. So yeah, honestly, when you visit, they might want to talk to you. They probably don't want to talk to you. I don't know if they'll ask for your friends. But you're on the council. They might want to talk to you. You know.
Yeah, I'll probably explain most of what happened outside of the time rift.
Yeah, I mean, they've just called it magical bad thingy.
The magical bullshit.
I mean, like, they're like, it did some time rift stuff, and they're like, sure it did. We don't know about that. And the dragons are like, they knew about that. The dragons sensed the motive. They have a big plus. I mean, the other people did not. The dragons didn't say anything, though.
I mean, it's probably smart not to say anything because, mass panic.
Yeah, they understand that, like, it was solved and, like, someone's looking at it, but they're also, like, they're curious now. So you've also drawn the attention of the dragons of Shiv.
It's almost like perhaps you don't go around saying, hey, that world-ending event that happened, a long time ago, hey, that happened almost again, by the way. You don't just say that. That causes panic.
Yes. So far, the majority of people you spoke to are the reasonable people that are like, okay, the problem seems to have been solved. I'm not going to get angry. I'm feeling very upset, though. Yep. You have talked to a lot of people that were very upset with your group.
I mean, it's all Kaz's fault.
It is. Though probably the most understanding one was Teferi, because he accidentally destroyed time for a brief period and gave himself and Joy Rhaenyra more mortality.
He did destroy time.
Yeah. It was only localized, though, but that probably may or may not have caused issues in that spot, I don't know, during some time rifts, which he may be aware, she probably is aware of, that he's like, yeah, I probably damaged things in that area. Whoopsie doodle.
Who hasn't ripped a hole in time and space? Really?
So he's probably the most understanding of, like, Kaz accidentally, who's like, yeah, I did some shit in my youth, too, man.
I'm a victim, technically.
You are a victim. Just like Joyra was a victim, the rest of you are a victim. It's really all Kaz's fault. You guys never needed a bag of holding, but he wanted one.
I'm a victim of this mess.
Mm-hmm. He wanted a bag of holding.
I mean, I might live as long as my elf wife now, at least. Mm-hmm. I don't know, maybe. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I think time stop exists in Star Wars. Canonically, I think that's just a force power.
Side note, I did want to talk to you about something about the Star Wars game, but we can do that as soon as we're done here. I think that's all the games we had, unless you had something else.
No, I didn't do anything on Friday because we played Divinity: Original Sin.
I did do Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Oh, nice.
We didn't really do a lot. What we did was we resolved the big incident at the building where the slaver was trying to hire us on. By basically taking the guy, fixing him up a little bit, the guy that they had kidnapped, healing him up a little bit. Our big old NPC fighter went with him to go get the guards, because he's lawful and he's the only lawful person in our team. So we're like, go get the guards. We're gonna go home. If they need us, they know where we live. We own the fortress next to town.
That has the big energy of, go look at this architecture while we torture this guy.
Well, it was more like there was a whole bunch of bodies in there because, we... And also, it was hilarious because I did take that spell where in 1d4 rounds, fate turns against someone. So
oh god, that's such a good spell.
It Rube Goldberg the guy for 55 damage.
Nice.
So he failed his save. So he tripped, hit a loose board, which hit into the shelf, which knocked it down, which caused some boxes to fall on him, and then this large weight that was up on the shelf hit him in the head and killed him finally. So nice. I just it could be Rude Goldberg death to someone, and it's so specific of it's 55 damage in 1d4 rounds.
It is weirdly specific.
I really love it. It's just such a cool bard spell to be I'm gonna curse you with Rude Goldberg death. I'm Final Destination, the magic user.
You did Final Destination, a man.
I did. But so they have to resort that body, and we fixed up our fortress enough, and then we decided we're going to go on adventures through a magical gateway because we have a gateway network in our basement to go to a whole bunch of different places. Well, apparently it was an elven gateway network, and the only gate that's broken is the one to the elven homelands.
That makes sense.
Which we gotta probably fix up at some point in time because we made friends in the one gate with jungle elves, and we have to be introduce them to their city cousins. And my character's all about family, so I was I kind of want to do that in my character, probably. It's at least get them connected together, with their, distant cousins in, the elf lands, make some trade between them or something.
You don't turn your back on family.
No. I'm all about tribes and bringing all a bunch of, like, lizard folk tribes, the Uruxi tribes back together. It's all about that family. That's why my character's entire backstory is going out into the world to learn our secret history in the world about when lizard folk basically ruled the world and where we lived, and, like, take it back to my people and help, like, unite all my tribes together, kind of thing. I'm all about that family. Also, I do have a family back home, which no one asks about. My kids have grown enough that I don't have to be around. That's why I left.
Fair.
They're adolescents now. They can start learning, their trades within the tribe. I don't have to be around. I can leave my my mate behind to look after things for the last bit. And go on this epic journey for the tribe. Anyway, so the second edition was actually pretty fun. I mean, I do like playing in it. The game is kind of silly. Like I'm the father figure of the group in that one.
Nice.
I'm this lizard folk that no one knows I'm old on the older side because I'm just a lizard folk, but I'm just like, goddamn kids, come on.
It would have been so amusing if I had joined Wrath when you asked, like, 2 years ago or whenever, because I would have just played Cole as a 62-year-old grandfather. So that would have been the characters from the start of the game. The character was never going to change.
I mean, having Cole have put up with so much more of their shit would have been hilarious. I don't know if he would have lasted. I gotta be honest.
He might have had to leave.
Just the shit that they have done in Children of Wrath. It's just, I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't have played a Yuan-ti, but I think they have options for that now. Like
they do have options to play an actual Yuan-ti.
Like they've added a lot of options in second edition. They only had the Uruxi because they only had like the first book of like extra species when I was making my character like a year ago.
They recently released another book for race and stuff. I think
because I think we're on book 3 or book 4 of the adventure path that we've been on. I'm like 9th level, so I'm pretty high level already. We're pretty far into that adventure path. I have to remember how many there are. Like, at least book 2, maybe book 3. I gotta be honest, I don't know where they separate out. Because we've been playing through one of the adventure paths, which it took me a while to realize, because I was just thinking we were originally just on, like, one of the pre-made adventures. But then I realized we were on an adventure path when we went, like, really far turns. And, like, out of game, I was able to sit down and be like, this network of gateways. Perhaps every time we enter one of these, we're going to find one of these magical items that leads us into another gateway and go to this other area and explore it as part of a more ongoing storyline.
Nah.
Also, we've been learning about for the past 2 adventures this group called the Crimson something or other. I can't remember its name right now. That's like this evil, like, criminal organization that's been funding all the evil people we've been dealing with. And also we've learned that they were behind these slavers that came in contact with us. It's almost as if we're going to go meet them at some point really soon and deal with them. Nah.
Crazy.
I mean, like, I could read the room very easily is the thing. It's like one of those things. It's like, I mean, and honestly, this is a really good excuse for, like, really different adventures. We have a gateway network that we're slowly connecting together. Oh, hey, we learned a new gateway. Where does it lead? Somewhere else entirely. Right. And maybe perhaps the evil dragon cult that, has influence because the dragon wants to use the gateway network to, like, raise itself from its... It's like a dragon demigod that exists in spirit forms and wants to resurrect its physical body or something in the real world. And it's
like a Dracolich.
Yeah, trying to recreate into the world. Some kind of weird shenanigans like that. And, perhaps, more of that will come up as we go along. Main quest stuff.
Just find its bones inside of Mechagodzilla and then do necromancy.
It was a great idea. I really both love and hate they did that. It was a hilarious thing to do.
Really should have thought ahead about sending the 2 biggest idiots of the party to deal with that one.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you, in most games, I would probably accept a Yuan-ti. If I was doing Pathfinder 2nd Edition, there probably would be a few that it wouldn't make logical sense, and it would be like, if you wanted to play one, I would probably, rather than say no, I'd be like, give me a good reason.
Yeah.
Give me backstory. Give me story to this character. Why is this character here? Why is this character involved? why this character would be involved in this adventure when I've given you the basics for it. That's the kind of thing that I feel like you need a good DM for, because they give you the option of playing it and give you some reason to build a good story.
Yeah.
Build that story. I like that. I like building a story of why a character's there is unusual. But anyway, that was our week in tabletop, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
Hell of a week. Pretty good one.
We did things.
So, I believe that's the end of our show, so I'm going to give some shout-outs to next week's stuff. I will be playing... I very well might be finishing Pathfinder Kingmaker. I've got to go rest my party, because apparently I can't kill the horrible high-level... 20th level spellcaster who cast Icy Prison on me with a DC of 38 by just luck.
Yeah.
I did look it up, and apparently freedom of movement theoretically works. So I'm just going to cast freedom of movement on everybody and true seeing so I can get rid of their percentile mischance and just murder the shit out of that guy. But I'm going to go rest before I do that, because honestly, I was right before I kind of wanted to rest. I was pushing myself. So I tried it a few times. I hate that guy. I'm going to murder the shit out of him.
Fair.
You know, I'm just going to like abuse the system and just get rid of... Spell up. When I spell up, I just murder him. I will play some more Final Fantasy V. Expect Buccaneers to return. I'm fairly certain we're not going to have a new player this week, at least. I can't say 100% for sure. I don't know if the good ending I have locked or unlocked with that one. I've been trying to get at least all the NPCs good endings, and I think I have most of them on good endings. But I'm also Chaotic Good, and apparently Chaotic Good's a really good alignment in that game for getting, like, actually decent endings. But I know there's a few, probably, endings which aren't as good. But I don't know, you know, it's hard to say. I have goblins in my kingdom. They infested the place.
Ooh.
It's fine. They've knock to lead them, and I like give them little warrens to live in, and they're mostly well behaved. Mostly. Apparently, I could have gotten like trolls and kobolds too.
Oh, nice.
But I missed where I could have gotten those. That wasn't the Chaotic Good. I did get the barbarians. Let's see here. I think that's it for next week, though. Which is Wrath's off. Oh no, I'm going to do something with Wrath.
You're doing the thing with.
I'm doing Joe's quests into his brain.
Yeah.
I'm doing a bunch, like a couple of quests into Joe's brain, so that we get those out of the way, because he's been doing that in his character's downtime, and we just want to kind of like resolve them in one big kind of like session of doing them. You know, brain quests to unlock more abilities of the people that was sacrificed to create him. He can, you know, make friends with them, like he made friends with his giant that's inside of him. His giant, who I believe I've canonically put in. I'm not thinking of the right name of the plane, because I was going to say it, and then all of a sudden I thought of Valheim, and Valheim is a video game.
Yeah.
The Viking world is eluding my brain right now, because it wasn't that memorable. They tried; it was interesting. Just not. I feel like one sets for a plane sometimes just isn't memorable. But they've been doing it. That's why you need something really cool like New Caperna or something. Because, sorry, that stands out. Vikings versus demon mobsters. Which one stands out more in your brains?
Yeah.
Vikings is very generically Viking. There have been Vikings in the real world, and Vikings have been done a lot. You need
there haven't been demon mobsters in the real world yet.
I remember Strixhaven because D&D did a book on it. That's the only reason I remember that one, too. Anyway, I think that's it for now. Thank you for joining me, Momo, as usual. I hope everybody has a great week joining me for various things as I stream on the course of the week, if you want to. If you just want to stick out the tabletop stuff, of course, as I said, it'll be starting, I think, at 9 o'clock on Wednesdays. We're moving back to 9 p.m. EST because of one other people's work schedule. I don't know if we're going to midnight still, or we're pushing it back to 1, still have a 4-hour session, but we're going to have Buccaneers of Shackled Sea. We're kind of playing that by ear a little bit right now. We might still stick with the 4-hour session and push it back a little bit if it's feeling like too late, or I get someone new when I get my new 5th player, since Lightning had to take a step away in there for that. But, you know, definitely check that out. It's always fun. It's Pathfinder 1st edition. I think you'll have an enjoyable time with Joe on his Mind Quest, but that's Children of Wrath at D&D 5e. Always fun there. So that's going to be also at 9. That's 9 to 12 on Thursday. Of course, I'll be on stream for the Pathfinder Kingmaker and the Final Fantasy V stuff. If and when that finishes up, I will throw out, announcements of what I'm replacing that stuff with. Final Fantasy V is probably nowhere near done. I think I'm only like a third into that game. But Pathfinder Kingmaker, I am pretty damn close to the end. So that one I might certainly be finishing up. It depends on how long some of these quests take. I don't know. And then, that'll be for the week. And of course, join us next week, next Saturday at around 2 to 2:30 p.m. whenever people are free for in here stuff, and we talk more tabletop stuff and more interesting discussions and news of the week. And have a good one, and see you later.
Yeah.
Farewell, folks.